Let's see. All right. Bloomberg. Cut you down over here. Look at this bounce in the market. All right. Let's get right into it then. Let's get to it. All right. So get the link moved around a little bit here. That's because we got some people floating through the area that may want to jump on. There's that. All right. All right. Peace, power, and profit, guys. Peace, power, and profit. This Throwback Thursday. Throwback Thursday, right? This Throwback Thursday session, live stream, live feed, however we choose to call it. Shout out to everybody who's having a great day. Shout out to everybody who's making the best of their day in any form or fashion that may be, especially when it comes to financial gain, right? In some cases, some financial knowledge, right? That works as well, right? Right. We're trying to build an empire, excuse me, based upon really good information, right? Actionable intel, as we like to call it, right? Actionable intel, right? So, with that being said, of course, there's no introduction needed for the conversation of today. The elephant in the room was the CPI data read today, right? The CPI, right? Some people call it the CPI. Why? Because they know, just like America accuses China of cooking their books and skewing their data points, well, America has been known to do theirs too. And it's not even conspiracy, right? It's just blatantly outright trying to make themselves look better than, I guess, their, I don't know if you want to call them enemies, but they're competitors, right? Some would say there are some enemies out there, right, when it comes to America, because, we pick a lot of fights, and a lot of people like, we were, we were small at one point, and now we're starting to grow, and we're not going to take all this bullying any longer, right? Whatever the case, again, the CPI data was the elephant in the room today. We're waiting on that data to come out based upon whether or not it was going to be, again, I use their words, transitory. All right, it was going to abate, or it was going to maintain its natural trajectory, obviously, in that terms of it, presenting that it was going to continue, continuously grow at a very scale pace, or it was just going to blow it through the roof, and the number was going to come in like super, super high, right? Super, super high, right? So again, for the most part, we got a 7.9 readout that was somewhat, in my opinion, it was, it came in with the expectations of what the analysts were expecting. Now, anytime they actually get it right, it's because they wanted to get it right. Right? What do I mean by that? How many times had they been trying to, in a lot of ways, right? They've been trying to forecast CPI, and the number is just off, right? The number's just off. They've been trying to, forecast GDP, and the numbers are kind of like off than usual, right? More than usual, right? So you got all this, throwing at, things at the, I guess throwing things at the wall, seeing what sticks, and we're sitting there like, okay, well, this doesn't really, this doesn't look good. This doesn't seem to be faring quite well. In terms of, again, these people being scholars, right? They're being appointed people, intelligent people, so to speak, who should be deemed very, credible, right? When they're making these type of high level decisions. Of course, this stuff affects your life, right? It affects your livelihood, affects your pocketbook, right? Quote unquote. And yeah, it doesn't seem like they are just, a lot of times, they're just not proven to be like they're just super competent, right? But again, leave it to me to kind of make that assertion, but I just go by the data. As an investor and a trader, it just behooves me to go by my understanding of how to do, proper research methodology, find these stocks, find, relevant information that I need to help me invest and trade better. And here's it that a lot of you guys, the average, retail investor or trader out here, who's able to make, my opinion, more conclusive, more conclusive decisions about the economy, about what's going on, in the global world, the global markets, if you want to call it that, the world as a whole, right? We say global marketplace, but you guys are doing a lot better than a lot of these professionals are, right? And they're getting paid tons and tons of money. And so, the end result is, yeah, we're in a box now where, and let's go to the 15-minute chart here. Just we can look at the SPY here to the close here. Actually, the bell just rung. The bell just rung. The bell just rung. So as you see here, definitely on the 15-minute chart here, markets closed on a green candle. Well, what's the significance of that? Well, look down here at the volume. Look at this volume that came in on this last 15 minutes worth of trading. 8 million shares of volume came in on this last 15 minutes of trading. And you say to yourself, okay, what was that about, right? What caused that? How are people bullish on this market with a 7.9 inflationary readout, with a war that's still pending? And I'm saying pending because there's no, end in sight in terms of ceasefire at this point to make markets somewhat comfortable in baking it in, quote unquote, right? We're going to bake that into to the marketplace, right? They're always trying to price it in, so to speak. We have, global markets around the entire globe that are contracting right now, as opposed to expanding, because, China came out recently and gave some growth numbers in terms of their reality. They're saying about 5.6 on a GDP respective level, what we do in America. And that's to be questioned because, again, supply chain issues, a lot of the stuff that's coming from out of their port are being held up because of all this other stuff, right? Beyond the war, they're being held up for, for old things, right? Dealing with supply chain issues and these companies and problems along with that, right? So nothing has really cleared up, really, guys, that we can say of besides COVID. They kind of pull back a little bit, right? Well, again, I guess it's not dominating the headlines because of Russia and Ukraine. But it seems like, again, COVID just up and went away, right? Why? Because, the media, as we know it to be, if you want to call it the media, right? These, these propagandists kind of, machines, right? That's basically what they are. They don't really do objective journalism any longer. Of course, that's just my opinion. I come from an era where you rarely, you saw people really trying to, bring forth honest, moral value type of news. Those days been long gone because markets are more, and I say markets, they're headline driven, right? News market, consumer market, the whole nine that comes along with people where they assert a lot of their attention to. Those are the things that a lot of these, propaganda machines are trying to, they're trying to be in those spaces, right? Whatever it is to get people focused on their talking points, their narrative, their cultural appropriation, theories or whatever. But that's the extent of what we're getting far as news. Now, going to, or speaking to the ideal of what we've been discussing far as, how do you prepare for a marketplace that's very erratic, very volatile, very enigmatic, if you will, and you're expecting things to happen in a way where, well, guys, this is kind of odd. This is very odd in terms of people celebrating, America's failure. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, of course, as a nation, we're resilient in some areas. In other places, we're kind of we're kind of sketchy. On the economic side of things, one would say, okay, so we got people returning back to work. Matter of fact, it was weird too, because even though we got the CPI readout today, we got the CPI data that everybody was waiting to see, right? And what was inflation going to look like, right, from last month, right? They just totally forgot about even the jobless, unemployment claims, right? Today, I think we had a total of like 227,000 people filed for unemployment. I think last week it was 217,000, somewhere around there. So we had a notch up or tick up in unemployment filings. So that number is not necessarily just kind of really proven to be coming down, even though we know that the job market as a whole have gotten better. What do I mean by better? Meaning more people have returned back to work out of necessity because their bills are compiling, they're about piling up. No one's really giving them a break on the moratorium side of things, besides the base stuff we're getting out of the Federal Reserve, but the federal government side in terms of student loans, stuff like that. That's coming up for to be emancipated at some point here too, unless they extend it. But beyond that, people have to go back into this environment and try to, clean up the rubble within their ecosphere, their homes, their bills, their debt that they've been able, unfortunately been, amassed, I should say, due to COVID, so to speak, right? So the economy is giving mixed signals. Why? Because we're talking about inflation, we're talking about hyperinflation, we're talking about stagflation. We've heard people talk about deflation, a la Kathy Woods. Like, good luck with that. Deflation, what is that? Are you kidding me? But again, it shows because look at her portfolio, right? She's just been getting drugged through the ringers, right? Again, we don't do personality, we just do numbers, right? We do their performance per se more than their personality. And she's just been getting, she's been getting, blasted, right? Anyway, but the reality is that, again, when we're talking about the economy giving mixed signals, essentially this is the end result of a lot of that, where people don't know exactly where to draw the line at, be it the global markets, be it the job environments, be it foreign affair values and things of that nature, far as trade partners, far as just conflict, far as partnerships as a whole. It's a lot of things that just up in the air. Again, people fail to realize we're still in the middle of a pandemic, right? It don't feel like it falls the ideal of the scary value of COVID just being ravenous, but again, the lingering effect of what the shutdowns, the lockdowns, the quarantines, or whatever, the stagnation of production because people not being able to return back to full capacity, not just in America but globally, which also again exacerbates the ideal of supply chain issues. Again, too many dollars chasing too few goods. That's again a recipe for a disaster, and it's showing you that through having to deal with the scarcity of what energy and oil values now, where everybody's paying exorbitant amounts of more in terms of their energy consumption, be it gas, be it electricity, natural, whatever, right? Again, everybody's feeling the crunch. Everybody's feeling some aspect of if you will, again, some kind of economic crunch, right? So we find ourselves again back into a corner, if you want to say that, or in a place where a lot of people was not ready for this. Right? A lot of people was not ready to deal with the things that we're having to, I guess, sit through, live through, exist through. But yet you got people, again, I'm saying that on the politician side, where these people are making these kind of decisions over your life. Again, you elect them to go do your bidding, but again, it's not like it's a very universal consensus, in my opinion. It's a lot of, we think this is better for our overall situation. So we're going to make these decisions void of, you having natural input into those and, from one moment to the next, and you have to live with that, right? You pay taxes, we'll afford you some liberties here and there. You should be happy, shut up and take it, right? Again, we talk about gas. We're talking about funding for the things that everybody been asking for the longest, and infrastructure and bridges and roads, and again, education, better scenarios in school systems, and again, just a better quality of life, right? We spoke about that several times about whether or not we feel like as if there's a very avid approach to giving Americans, quote unquote, a value, a better quality of life, I should say. Let me just keep it basic, right? Some people will say yes, depends on their situation. Others will say no. The consensus probably has it is like we don't really see it, really benefiting in a lot of ways, because we've been watching since the pandemic, number one, but even before that, we've been watching, years upon years how the government as a whole is very liberal when it comes to other people outside of these shorelines. And when the American people go to government and say, hey, we need you guys to do this and do that and do this, that, and the third, it's selective. It's only towards certain jurisdictions, certain states. It's not a collective federal consensus to do things to really give, again, Americans a better quality of life. It comes with a whole lot of what? Gerrymandering. It comes with a lot of, filibustering. It comes with a whole lot of, earmarks and porks, barrel type of spending that just goes into a lot of what? Corporate pockets more so, meaning they're looking for the incentives to, promote some kind of corporate interest over that of what the people are actually asking for, right? There has to be somewhere where we can, put some money into somebody else's pockets, all right? In this scenario where, we try to kill two birds with one stone. It's not, again, about really going to bat for the average, person, right? Just, where there's no hidden, what do you call it, hidden agenda, if you will. And so we're watching this on a constant basis. Like this is just, it's just never ending. It's a never ending story, right? I don't know if y'all remember that old book back in the days, right? Old school book, right? Never ending story. That's essentially what we're watching. That's essentially what we're getting on a day-to-day basis. Again, dealing with inflation and dealing with, again, bureaucratic gridlock all the time. These people just act like children, right? And a lot of these people like elderly, right? We talk about people who've been in Congress and the government work, 20, 30, 40 years, and they are still playing the game of benign neglect or, this happy-go-lucky ignorance that they feel as if everybody's really supporting a lot of their bad policies or bad decisions. Again, I'm on my little soapbox for a hot second. And I'm only saying those things because, again, we're constantly having to deal with, uh, you know, people telling you that they ain't got money for this, they don't have money for that. It's not in the budget. But soon as something happens outside of us at the borders, in somebody else's country, meaning another whole country got a whole issue, conflict going on with their people. These people got civil wars that's going on in their own land. And here we are trying to go be the mediator and jumping in the middle of that. And back in the old days, like if you get in the middle of a fight, you liable to get what? Catch some knuckles too. Right? You liable to catch, a nice little 5-piece chicken dinner. Right? But yet still, we continuously try to play this role as if that's our job to do that. Like we're just going around the globe, administering quote unquote, liberal democracy, so to speak, right? As if people just, asking for it. I mean, you couldn't make this stuff up, guys. It's sickening in a lot of ways. Why am I saying that? Why? Because again, as a person who served in the armed forces myself, having the right to make those kind of statements, I say that, we're just basically, mismanaging people's sovereignty value in this country more so than it used to be back in the days. And I'm saying that loosely because we know what this country, where it came from. But I'm saying at a point where you probably still felt like, okay, yeah, it's ratchet. But just, leave me alone, make good decisions, stay out the way, let people go out there, build a scenario without all this kind of oversight, right? And that'll be it in terms of something, unless something changes, right? That seems to be kind of non-existent. Why? Because again, policies are dictating markets. That's the whole triangle here. That's what I'm getting at here. Policies dictate markets, right? Which is inside this triangle that we know it to be in terms of again, stock markets as a whole, global markets as a whole, the military industrial complex. I'm putting that in there. Why? Because every time there's some kind of form of conflict, it disturbs everybody's way of life, right? We got a Cold War still going on with China. Again, people forgot tariffs did not just up and go away. Tariffs didn't just, all of a sudden we just up and forgot about tariffs. Right? No, tariffs are still on the table, right? There's still policies that are still, on the books that are, causing, that little so-called rift, if you want to call it that, whether it be good, good, bad, or indifferent to it, it's there, is my point, right? So again, we find ourselves, let me cut my mic up a little bit here. Sorry. We find ourselves in a very unfamiliar place. Why? Because our economy is suspect. The markets are definitely, in my opinion, I think it's diluted with a whole lot of uh, gambling at this point, right? A lot of people who are thinking that, even though we know this is the road to wealth creation, but they're looking at it from the wrong reasons, right? Which is driving the market to play from a very inorganic, perspective, right? And someone said, "Well, when has the market ever played from an organic perspective?" And at times it has, and then other times when it's been, manipulated, if you want to call it that, by way of stimulus or whatever, then yeah, that again, problematic, right? Problematic. Why? Because you know companies are still getting the benefit of the doubt when they're showing that their main interest is, again, like it's always been, is corporate profits, right? Well, if you invest in some of these companies, you're not complaining if your stock is going up. I get that, but you can't cheerlead it for all the same and saying that, oh, it's this and we're that and we're this, and the numbers show something different. That's the difference about this industry, or the ideal of being in the markets, that separates fluff from fiction, right? Fluff, or I should say, fluff from fact, right? Or the idea that fluff and fiction is the same, but the idea from fluff from fact, right? Because we can track a lot of the data more so than people who are just making somewhat of a guesstimation. That's the difference, right? We go look, we go dig into those forums, we go dig into the competitive marketplace. We go figure out what's this about, what's that about. Again, it gives us better insight on exactly whether or not we're who we say we are, right? If we're complaining that we're this and we're that, we're the top notch this and that, then the numbers show something different. Then how am I going to promote that, right? How am I going to get behind that ideal of promoting something that's a false readout? It's a false narrative, right? As one would say, that's a false narrative. I'm not going to get behind it. I'm not going to, as the saying goes, I don't scratch unless I'm itching. I don't dance unless I'm jiggy. That's simple as that. I stand on my own, right? And that's the thing that needs to come back into at least this country, in terms of people understanding some aspect of sovereignty within their own right, where they ain't got to go along with everything, right? They don't have to laugh and kiki and giggle and play the role, right? And it's not necessary, right? At some point, you just realize, like, this is this is unnecessary, right? Why am I, there's no, as they say, there's no future in front, right? There's no future in fronting, right? So you might as well just save that energy for something more constructive, right? Because I don't see the need to do that, especially the older you get. There's just no need to be sitting around just lying and fronting and agreeing with everything, especially when there's conflict of information, a conflict of data, conflict of whatever, that somewhat blows up the whole ideal of a lie, quote unquote, right? Just call it what it is. So again, we're in these spaces, we're in these times now where a lot of people have to come to reckon with that. Are you really getting the best out of the system, right? And if so, again, if so, yeah, again, please explain to us, where and how, right? Just take your time, walk us through it, if you will, right? Because again, it's just not showing to be so. It's not proven to be so, uh, and that's why, again, when you get scenarios like this where they're telling you that, or they're making the assertion that, hey, everybody need to bear their inflationary cross. We spoke about that on the last live stream. You got to bear your inflationary cross, meaning you got to live with higher costs, higher cost value at the gas station, and your energy and heating bill, your utilities, your grocery bill. Again, ubiquitous items that you have to deal with every day. You have to bear your inflationary costs, because we're doing this for what? For the greater good of the planet. And I'm saying that why? Because what also is what's transpiring right before you, besides the fact that they have bad economic policies that's causing you to look at them sideways, like, well, this is your job, right? Did you have one job to do as a government employee or a congressman or whatever, House representative, whatever? And we don't really see you really going to bat and fighting for our qualitative way of life. We keep seeing you come up with money out of thin air and giving it to other people who don't look like us, meaning people who are not here in this country paying taxes inside of it. It just happened in Afghanistan. You brought people from over there, gave them housing, gave them vouchers, gave them A+ credit, gave them money, everything. And they will not go help not even the homeless people here in the DC region that are all around the capital. They would not go help those homeless people over in California on Skid Row, homeless people in and around your neighborhoods. They will not do one thing to help those people. But they're going to help foreign people that don't even know these people like that. Don't know these people got hidden agendas. They could be double agents. They could be, again, Boko Haram, all this stuff, Al Qaeda, but smiling in your face just to get on the boat. Again, this is the ignorance of this country. Again, I got to go on my soapbox for 2 seconds. Then but it all ties into what I'm talking about. Why? Because what we just witnessed with the omnibus package that came out of the House of Representatives, literally behind everybody knows, they passed this thing at 1 a.m. in the morning. Keep in mind, it happened Tuesday. The press caught wind of it Wednesday. It became airing apparent, late yesterday. And then it became, oh yeah, we also got this bill passed, but no one got forewarning of it. They passed it literally at 1 a.m. in the morning. The House of Representatives. Detailing about $14 billion of what they call Ukrainian aid money. Ukrainian aid money, $14 billion. I have to let that marinate for a moment. I'm just asking for a friend. How's it that we always, again, find money, and you just had a big fight between Republicans and Democrats about what? Stimulus. Republicans, no, y'all finna, all this infrastructure bill, all this Build Back Better, we're not going to agree with that. It went from what? 3 or 4 trillion all the way down to 1.5 trillion, and that's under fire now. And now all of a sudden, that 1.5 trillion omnibus bill, that's going to be disguised as some other little porky. Now I'm pretty sure it is. And yet still, they took out about what? I want to say like 9 to 12 billion for COVID aid. They took that out. They took the 9 to 12 billion of COVID relief or COVID, help out of that and added in the 14 billion for Ukrainian aid.
Yeah. Trump talked about that right before his presidency ended. All the money they was giving to foreign countries. And here we go again. We see it again. So not only are they going to keep increasing money spending and money printing, they're also going to continue to make inflation go up more and more.
Which is the next part of that is like you talking about a $1.5 trillion bill, and it's going to be what they call spliced into the idea of Ukrainian aid. So that way it makes people feel some kind of way if they vote against it. Oh, you're voting against what? Aid for Ukraine. I thought we was what? A consensus that was all in what? All in this for what? For Ukraine. You see how they do? This is what these people do. And why do I bring that up? Why? Because y'all know how this stuff is. You scratch a lie, you find a thief, right? The old school saying, with that Ray Charles, his mom used to tell him, scratch a lie, find the thief.
Yeah.
Well, if you scratch the entire Washington, D.C. area right now, I mean, look, it's going
number thieves.
Boy, it's like you let a zipper down, something just pop out because it just been sitting there. Everything just explode out. That's what it would be if you scratch DC. Because everything around it is opportunistic. And it has nothing to do with the idea of what you think this country is going. This country is far beyond what it used to be, what it could have been, and it ain't going back. Why? Because these people have found a way to, again, like I've always said, stress test your pockets. Stress test your way of life. Stress test the qualitative value that you thinking that should, be what this country, has potential to be, void of its dark past, because we're never going to live that down, and we're never going to overlook that, and we're never going to let people tell us forget about what happened in the past. They try to still do that to this day. And I say that why? Because if even you make the conversation about reparations, we ain't got the money. And again, 14 billion for what? Ukraine. 6 billion for Afghanistan. Another, they had like what was like 3 or 4 billion for the border crisis to pay people who was coming into the country illegally. Giving them money.
Can't even get no option trades. Can't even get
man, you can't even go 100 on spy puts right now. I mean, like you can't make this stuff up. And then we have a lot of people who don't really understand this because they're programmed to accept whatever they're hearing on their airways, their TV. These people are just asleep. And the sad part about it, we are, you hear people say this all the time, we are in an age of information where information is literally at your what? Your fingernail. And people still refuse to what? To properly what? Get educated. Right? And I noticed that it's a difference between education and programming. A lot of people are programmed, they're not educated. Educated is knowing that you have number one, first thing is what? Common sense. Then you splice that with what? Data points of consistency or primary sources that gives you a form of what? Proper analysis that you can what? Convey things from a more educated perspective. Why? Because you got a lot of different what? Data points that lead to what? One particular what? Fact or ideal of it being the most probable outcome. Make sense?
Yeah,
People now are just like, okay, whatever, the
it's
system is
worse than
saying.
programming. Sorry, I'm
Right,
sorry.
it's really
Worse
brainwashing. But
than
I try to take the mild approach. Right, I try to take the little,
well, yeah,
the
you right
mild
about
pepper
that.
approach. Right, the bell pepper exposed to the Scotch bonnet.
Yeah, but they don't even. It's to the point that they don't even know how they being affected. You know, that's how dumbed down it's become now. You don't even know you getting raped, or excuse my language, you getting robbed every day. You don't even think about it. You just living your life. Oh well, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. No, you getting robbed. That money got your name on it. They taking it every day, and you ain't got nothing to say but catch flights, not feelings, or I'm about to
Going in
buy
your
out the
pocket,
club. Yeah,
constantly
I
going in America's pockets. And here it is, you ain't got the money because you ain't been working almost a year and a half, dang near,
facts,
and they
facts.
still going into your future pockets. That's the whole idea with stimulus. People fail to realize that that's your future bank account already getting robbed. You ain't agreeing to none of this stuff. You ain't sat down and said, okay, well, let's do a consensus vote across the country about how do people feel about this or that. Again, they're playing it from a place of we're going to use the oligarchs of DC to make those decisions for you. Well, you'll let them
Facts.
send them to that place so they can speak for you. Now, I ask you guys again, are these people speaking for you? Are they truly
Absolutely not.
speaking for you and your interests?
Hmm.
Right? Again, it's like bro, like seriously, don't make me cry. Right? Not even laugh. Don't even make me cry. These jokers, you know, are complete maggots and opportunists. Excuse my language. I'm a little harsh today, but I'm saying that because again, I watch this stuff and I'm seeing these like this constant, uh, you know, this constant benign neglect of simple stuff or simple things that they know this country have been asking for, granted, but they are just forgetting. They just brush it off like it ain't nothing, and it gets caught on people's desks, and it just sits there and collects dust. And it's like we ain't got time, we ain't got the money, we ain't got this, and yet it's still in an instant, overnight, while you're not paying attention. They're passing 1+ trillion dollar packages, 60 billion plus, packages, 14 billion plus packages. Yet we don't have any money. We don't have this, we don't have that. We can't go forward with building this or financing the ideal of getting the schools right because of this. But we got money to give it to other people who have conflicts in other countries, and that's our civic duty to look out for everybody else except ourselves. Somebody please make that make sense to me. And it's the reason why I'm a big advocate of what we're doing right here, right now. We're speaking about what? Trying to show people how to make their own money. If it's just supplemental income, that's something that's better than nothing. It's better than nothing. Why? Because you got to convince me really hard how you putting all this trust into these people, these politicians or whatever, and they're so-called going to bat for you. They're doing the work of really protecting your best interest. I'm just really, I want somebody to be honest. and convince me that that's what's happening. At this stage in the game, again, information being easily accessible now, you can really sit in on a lot of different panels and listen to a lot of congressional hearings, and you can see a lot of things that before where it was like, okay, yeah, you know that stuff is outside of your jurisdiction, right? They kind of keep behind closed doors, right? These closed door policies, initiatives. I'm like, please, somebody show me where all that stuff is happening at. Like, I mean, where's the qualitative value of life? You know, the value that they're advocating on your behalf. Where is that stuff at? Hey, where is it? Right? I'm just asking again. I'm asking for a friend. Right? I'm asking for a friend because every time I look around, I see just a constant, just slapping the American people in the face. Right? Yeah, maybe it has become so much of a nation of immigrants in terms of that mindset where a lot of people who do come here under the guise that they're going to go through all this constitutional upliftment and this, that, third, which they swear to, right? Again, when people get in the door, it's like, bro, okay, I got to look out for the fam now, right? I got to look out for the people that's going to line my pocket. The corporations are seeing politicians as what? As pawns. I need to give them a bag. They're going to push my agenda. Guess what? There it is. These people get their pockets lined. They take care. Again, people back in their homelands. They open up doors for things like that. Again, that's why you have such a big fight for what? For border protection, right? Because a lot of people is coming in and saying, whoa, 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 before we do anything harsh, we need to look into why, these people are coming over here. So while they're looking into it, people are constantly still coming into country, coming in illegally, coming in illegally. Again, which causes more of a problem because now tax dollar got to go to what? Funding, housing, feeding, clothing, all these people. And so again, nothing really gets done unless it's to be able to really do something for what you're paying your taxes into. Again, our school system, our roads, our bridges, our infrastructure as a whole, policies that overthrow a lot of the old Jim Crow era type of policies that are still sitting on the books. Benign neglect, this inequality perspective of wealth gap that's increasing day to day. And we know that because, again, we're market participants. So we definitely follow the money, right? If nobody else, we definitely follow the money. So we're seeing all these things happen, guys, and no one is really speaking for you, me. We have to do it for ourselves, right? We have to do it for ourselves. And so that's why this stuff is important. Why? Because when we mix finances, well, when you speak about finance, you find the truth. Why? Because it's going to be a paper trail, is my point. It's always a paper trail tied to some kind of form of what? Bad economic policy. It's a paper trail. Why? Because somebody took your money, your perceived money, and they sent it somewhere else. They gave it to someone else. It went in places where it wasn't designed to go, or it got shaved, or it got cut, or it got spliced, or it got somebody else attached something else to it. And because of that, now we're all what? Stuck. We're all jacked up. I mean, it's like they said, you couldn't make this stuff up. As the saying goes, couldn't make this stuff up. This is, I mean, it's almost comical. So again, right? You have to realize again the extent of how this stuff is really shaping out. They're talking about, the idea that there's a potential civil war brewing in the country because of some of the things that we're talking about. All these other things that are just starting to become a cauldron of problems that are just sitting there, just simmering, waiting to explode. Again, we talked about January 6th. What happened with that, with the riot, right? Again, a test drive, so to speak. Someone calls it a test drive. They test driving, right? They test driving people in their feelings. They feel some kind of way about some of the same things we've probably been talking about. For us, we're saying, okay, well, we're just trying to buffer our situation by what? Getting our finances in place, getting a reputable skill set that we can take with us at any place in case it ever gets weird, right? We're what they call real in the field. Nonetheless, that fact that you are, a participant of this, you see the world from a more different perspective. Why? Because again, we talk about it. If you follow the money, you'll find the thieves. If you follow the money, you'll find the growth potential in some cases. It goes, but the knife cuts both ways. Is my point, right? It cuts both ways, right? So shout out to, again, I got to say this. Shout out to everybody who's taking a chance on themselves. Shout out to everybody who's taking a chance on themselves and realizing that it's not about no flag. It's not about no nationality. It's not about, you from there, this place. It's about what you can do to at least put yourself in a position where you can still have some kind of form of autonomous value of sovereignty in your own right, where you don't have to kowtow, suck up, kiss somebody behind to be in somebody else's land, to be in somebody else's inside of somebody else's job, to be inside of somebody's university, to be inside somebody else's, I don't know, cultural whatever. Like, to me, that stuff is goofy. That's just where I sit at this point in my life. It's goofy. All of it is goofiness. Why? Because again, at the end of the day, the qualitative value of life shows that people are more selfish than they are selfless. Why? Because again, look around. Babies are hungry. People are homeless. And you got people who making, again, buku amounts of money, but yet they virtue signal and tell you that you're wrong because you take a stance on about a certain situation, right? They tell you that you're wrong, but they sit from a place look high and it's looking down low and telling you what you should be the first ones out there advocating with picket signs and things of that nature, advocating for what they're not necessarily doing with their own money. I mean, again, you couldn't make this stuff up. But anyway, how's all that stuff relevant, brother African Poor? You kind of on your little soapbox right now. I'm saying it from this way only. Why? Because when you look at the extent of how these people mismanage money all the time, and they want you to accept that as, maybe the data at the time didn't lead us to make that decision. We made the best decision that was, put in front of us. And that's a lie. But they come up with a whole lot of excuses. But right now, the excuses are starting to fade because the reality is starting to reveal itself. People are starting to figure out, like, man, we've just been getting taken, we've been getting hoodwinked. Some people, not all, but some. And I say some because guess what? All of you guys is paying attention right now, listening on this live, on this broadcast. You guys are the people who are what? Who are already smart, and now you're just getting more, educated on, and more, you're getting what you're supposed to get at a point in your life when you was ready to receive it. What do I mean by that? You're learning how to connect the dots. You're learning how to go dig up the data. You're learning how to do proper research methodology. You're learning how to really do, really good discernment in your life, with a point where people just can't sell you in and everything, right? That's not happening any longer. You guys are dispelling all those lies and those myths now. That makes you dangerous. Not in the eyes that somebody's going to come harm you, but it makes you dangerous because if you speak a very unbridled truth in a place full of people who are asleep at the wheel, they're going to start looking at you like, bro, we don't talk that kind of truth around here. Whether they know it or not, they're going to feel intimidated. They're going to feel some kind of way. Because they're programmed to think that you should not speak unless spoken to when it comes to these kind of things. People love, as they say, going along with anything. And that's why we're in this space of investors, as investors and traders. Why? Because over here, nobody has control over you. No one has control over your truth. When you make your own money, you speak your own truth. Now, we talking about in alignment with the reality of truth is, not just make up stuff and throw it out there, but you can speak from a very unbridled perspective when you can, again, make your own money. And that's what we're trying to convey here, is that you don't have to walk around being misled, being lied to, being, given us, half truths and this, that, and third. No, you don't have to do that ever again. Get to a place where, again, you take the approach to being an autonomous, sovereign being on this planet and move within the jurisdiction of these people that got power. You, of course, don't do nothing stupid. If you know they got these old, draconian laws in place to mess up your situation, just make sure that you don't let people try to water down your truth. Build your own empire, move about as you need to, and let it be what it is. Don't get caught in trying to prove, again, no nationality, no flag, unless it matters, right? Unless it matters when it comes to getting the check, right? That's when you got to do your thing, because everybody else seems to do it and nobody seems to bat an eye. When the Jewish people still getting I think they get like $10 billion a year every year out of taxpayers' money to float Israel. Japanese people got reparations. Again, they're giving people reparations. They that had nothing to do with this country. Ukrainians are getting reparations from America by that aid package. Afghanistan people who were fighting against America, right? They're getting reparations by, them getting that package or that money they got from what? From Congress. Every time something's happened, somebody they come up with a congressional budget to send money abroad or overseas. That's a form of reparation. Stop playing if you think it's not. Stop playing if you think it's not. Stop playing if you think it's not. People crossing the border illegally, if they cut them people a check, that's a form of reparation. You're repairing them their ability to break into your country illegally. You're going to pay them for being able to do because they failed. You're paying them because they failed trying to break into your country illegally. You're paying them for that. So yeah, this country got bigger problems than it leads to be. And I'm saying all those things only because I want people to see and think deeper. And I know a lot of people are like, yeah, we there. But it needs to be said on airways. Why? Because a lot of people who are out there who are still under this belief that it's fairy tales, it's pink unicorns, it's this, it's that. They have no clue. And a lot of you guys been trying to tell them and bring them to what? Bring them to the fertile soil. You've been trying to say, hey, bro, let me show you how to get your own bag. You need to learn how the monetary system works. You need to understand that this is a what? A corporation. It's not what you think it is. It's not a fantasy land. This is a corporation. It's a business. These people are doing business deals without your consent all the time. And you just find out later because your taxes go up, or your gas prices go up, or your food costs go up, your electric bill go up, your housing costs go up. That's when you find out after the fact. Not before the fact, but after the fact. And you're supposed to be okay with that. You're supposed to be okay with that. I'm just asking for a friend. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? Anyway, so those things need to be said. Why? Because again, we got to get out of this fairy tale way of looking at things. And we have to be very, 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 very objective in the way we look at the world. And as investors and traders, this is what we do. I mean, we do this stuff like a science in a lot of ways, even though math, investing trade is not an exact science, but the information we're dealing with is in a scientific fashion or scientific order based upon our methodology, being able to kind of connect the dots, right? Through our research methodology, we connect those dots, and then we take financial positions based upon that level of risk versus reward opportunity. That's executive decision making every single day. I don't care if it's for $5. I don't care if it's for $10. I don't care if it's for a band. I don't care if it's for 10 racks. Every day you line up to do that, shout out to you. Power to you. Power and profit to you. Because a lot of people, again, comfortable being misled, lied to, just to ride somebody's clock, just to act as if they got security, and they water down their truth and existence every single day. And they like being taken advantage of in a lot of ways because they don't see, they feel like they can't do this on their own. They can't figure out a way to find a path of opportunity on their own because their programming is that strong. Or like Oprah Chris was saying, it's not even programming, it's deeper than that, right? Some would go as far as say what it really is, brainwashing. It's brainwashing. It's brainwashing. Anyway, Oprah, son, you in the building. I don't want to keep going. I know how I get in my little moments. Again, it's just one of those moments where you have to just speak truth to power and keep people sane, because it's easy to try to throw you off your game plan if you let it. Right. So anyway, so where you at, over Sonny? I don't know if you I see you jumped on the panel. I don't know if you're able to.
Hey, peace. I'm here. I'm just listening. I'm trying to gain knowledge.
Where you at in all this, man? So we got CPI data came out. We got a 1.4 trillion spending bill that came out of nowhere, out of behind. Everybody knows this. You got a marketplace that's don't know what to do. You got contraction happening all around the globe. You got the ECB came out today. Christine Lagarde, which is the ECB, pretty much central banker of Europe, right? She came from the IMF position, right? She got a lot of skeletons in her closet. We've talked about her several times. All right, she's straight. Yeah, she ratchet. Yeah. I'm just gonna call it. Christine Lagarde is very ratchet. She got some very old dusty history. Benign neglect policies, bad policies did to kind of hurt Brazil. She done stuff to hurt Africa. She rested. But anyway, there's a lot of things going on around the world that's showing a lack of growth, a lack of forecasted growth. Yet these markets are holding on best they can, and it's giving a lot of mixed signals, and people don't know how to make sense of it all. But that's why these programs are necessary, because we got to come on here and speak some context, right? So where you at in all this, man? Where you at in this, Open Sunny? From your perspective on the world, where you at?
From my perspective of the world, I just look at it as a business deal. So when they do different things with these different countries, as far as lending them money or giving them certain amounts of money, it due to the inflation, you have to put your money in some type of assets. For them, with them having somebody that they're lending money to or giving or what they say donating money to, is actually a way for them to stabilize the cash that they have versus the dollar going down. Not saying that it's a good thing as far as how they're doing it, but I see it on a different scheme with that.
Right. And again, it's about what? Assets over liabilities, right? Again, taking the approach that America is a corporation, it's a business, right? As what that song that Jay-Z put out, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman, right? Right? Again, America takes that approach where it's business agenda or it's business perspective or modus operandi, or its positioning is that it's looking out for its future. Okay, well, America, the corporation, in terms of the executives who are in place to make these decisions, or America, the country, where people who pay taxes into this civil scenario to equate to that, where again, if these power broker deals are being made, the qualitative value of way of life should also trickle down to everybody else, right? Again, a lot of these questions that we have that seem to get, I don't know, maybe lost in the sauce, as one would say. And again, very interesting point when you made that too, over sudden, just kind of veg backing off that. Again, that essentially they're taking an approach that they're the executives and they're making no decision because they feel like the average person, you, me, whomever, the average person, the worker, whatever worker be, cannot make these kind of decisions on their own. It's like a parent to child relationship, right? A parent to child relationship. The child sees a bee and says, no, that's a bee from South America, Brazil. I saw it somewhere in the book. Mom says, no, that's just a regular honeybee. I grew up with those bees. They're just a regular honeybee. And the child might have already done the research and seen it, distinctly know what it is, seen certain markers on it. In that moment, they're more educated than the parent. Why? Because the parent plays a game of what? Everything is a one size fit all. They think they know what's best because of their limited scope of ability to see things for what they could be. They settle for what they already are. That's government. Their data is lagging, but their decision is forward thinking in a way where they're making moves off of old, antiquated data. And everybody else is caught in the middle of collateral damage. Again, this is why you guys are in this space y'all in right now. Not necessarily just on this live, but I'm speaking about in the financial industry space now. A lot of us have started to realize and open up our eyes, right, and see it for what it is. Like, okay, man, we've been back hustling for a long time, right? They've been hiding this, right? They've been hiding this stuff from me. It's game on now. It's game on. You guys deserve everything that's coming to you. And guess what? And you're going to get it. Why? Because, see, with this, you get better with time. As they say, fine wine. You get better with time with this. And you get to a place where you say, okay, let them try something stupid. You got opportunities already laid out before you. And such a skill set that is. That makes a lot of people nervous. That makes a lot of people nervous. Whether they believe it, say it a lot, don't say it, that makes a lot of people nervous. Again, shout out to you all because you guys get it. I can't say it enough. I have no better group of people. I mean, look here. I go to war with you guys. And they call me up. You already know. I got you. I'm with you. Why? Because I know we're doing this from a place of we're trying to really change the narrative. And you saw people who probably looked this up before, like, man, nobody got time for all that. Man, it sounds good. I want to do it at some point in my life, but I ain't got time for it right now. I'm just a little too, off my rocker maybe right now. I ain't got time to focus right now, whatever. I say shout out to everybody, all you guys who took a chance on yourself and now who's starting to use this for your advantage. Because you're starting to see the world for what it is, even more so now than before. When you just kind of looked at it from the lens of the, your local news or, the mainstream media type of news or the big global giants, right? The sports center, all this stuff that used to capture a lot of your attention. right? Capture a lot of your attention. Now it's like, no, they got to pay pay to play. If they want your attention, they're gonna have to come up with some kind of form of an ROI, return on investment, for that to happen. Not that you can't still enjoy life and enjoy the fruits of things that come along with, that aspect of evolution, and being able to kind of have R&R. But it always is at a point where if you give them that time, it's because they earned it, right? They had to earn it, right? It wasn't just you just giving away 2-3 hours a day doing nothing, and then you complaining later like, I ain't got no money. I don't have a way to find, get me no money. No, you're doing the work of building out the things to help you get to where you need to go. And then when you have time, you'll say, okay, well, y'all earned it today. I'll watch a little game here. I'll watch a little something here, right? Whatever. Anyway, you guys get the point what I'm saying here. Oprah Brandon, where you at, Oprah Brandon? I see you that popped in the house. Peace, power, profit, Oprah Brandon. Where you at today, man? I mean, where you at?
Peace, family. I don't really have nothing to say. You guys said it already. 100% back you guys. Every one of you guys' statements, I mean, it's facts. I mean, we get brainwashed. We get watered down to think, all thing you need in life is a job. That's it. But when you turn off that TV, you start opening up a book, you start learning other things, like instant stocks, you start to realize, okay, America is really a business. And like, I was shocked to hear that they, $14 billion?
14 billion.
14 billion, but they stopped repo operations, quote unquote. No, I don't. No, I gotta keep going with this stuff. I mean, to stand still right now, from what I know right now, I'm not stopping this.
Facts.
It's just too much. It's like that. It's like having a treasure map, and you getting halfway through the treasure map, and saying, I'm tired. But the other person with the treasure map, like, no, I got to keep going. I got to see what's in that box. This is opening up Pandora's box, basically.
Facts. Good way to put it. Very good way to put it. Essentially, that's exactly what it is. Because
go ahead. I'm sorry. No, you just got to keep going, because it's like you said, it's frothy, fake, scratcher lie, find a thief. 100%. That's what this is. Every day, every time you go into the market, it's something being manipulated. Somebody's always manipulating you. You just got to find a lie. That's it, and potentially profit from that lie. Now, I know that sounds hard to say. Hey, I got to profit off of somebody, but it's, again, your business.
That's it. Again, going back to what Jay-Z said, I'm not a businessman. I'm a business man. Right. You're a walking business. You're a walking, you are a walking CEO. In any environment you go into, you're making what? Executive decisions every day. And it's based upon what? 2 words that we love more than anything as investor traders. What do we know we're supposed to do every single day as investor traders? Manage risk. Manage risk. They call it risk management. You have to go out there and manage risk every day. Again, when everybody's trying to go in your pockets. Everybody trying to go in your pockets. And if you don't understand that, you'll be sold what? Anything. Had the saying go, I was born at night, but not last night. Right? Fool me once, shame on what? On you. Fool me twice, shame on me. There's a lot of people out there still getting fooled twice, 3 times a lady. And they're comfortable with it.
And they still getting fooled right now, too long.
And ain't learning not nothing, not Nathan, as they say. They ain't learning Nathan.
Ain't learning not a damn nothing.
Not a damn nothing. Look at here, baby powder. What about your employees? Employees? We are on a trail. Ain't no employees.
Right.
This is the extent of, again, they know people are happy with, in my opinion, trivial things.
Complacent.
Very complacent. When in Rome, do as the Romans do, right? The most dumbest thing ever, right? I used to regurgitate that stupidness until I got, knowledge of self. Then I realized, like, what am I saying? What am I saying? Just to have a colloquial saying in the midst of people. No, I'm not going to say that, regurgitate that goofiness. It's not in Rome. And I'm not, even, anyway. So again, the reality is that when you empower people from a place where they can make their own money financially, or make their own way, make their own lane. That look, again, it's dangerous. It's dangerous to the status quo, because that the saying goes, crab in the barrel syndrome is ever present, even more so now, because with more knowledge, you gain more power. As we say, what knowledge brings power, power equals profit. I repeat, knowledge brings power, power will equal profit, because with proper knowledge, you take a better decision based scenario, executive based decisions, right, which will lead to some kind of form of financial gain if you apply it properly. Again, a lot of people afraid of that. I just need to get programmed, give me something, let me go work for somebody and do what I need to do every day like a robot. I'm fine. I'm not going to ask questions. I'm not going to challenge the status quo. I'm not going to speak a unbridled truth, because I don't want to get cancel culture on my back. I don't want to lose my job because my boss, trailing my Facebook and Twitter, Instagram page. I want to be ratchet on the weekends, but I can't, because they're gonna fire me because I can't let my hair down even on social media. I'm like, what? What? And I get it. Some people got to play ball when they're on the field. They got to do what they can. Again, it's fine line. Fine lines. They say fine lines. It's a fine line, bros. Hey, live your truth or live your situation. All right. And if it ain't 100% true, be it for what it is. If it's a situational moment, if it's an entanglement, right? A la Jada Pinkett style. If you have an entanglement with Mr. Charlie, that's fine. Eventually, you'll come from out of that, right? You'll figure out a way to get from underneath that entanglement. Right? All right. But again, it's a lot of things that we have to take into consideration. Why? Because these conversations are potent, because we're looking at a marketplace, and I'm tying it into the marketplace. We're looking at a marketplace, right, that is just loaded with, again, a lot of these same things in some cases that we're talking about. Why? People are trying to make the best out of the situations that's before us, right? That's at hand. And a lot of people, again, who are concerned about gas prices at the pump, who are concerned about the energy bills going up, the grocery bills are skyrocketing right now. Again, this whole idea, just going back to the initial thumbnail here, right? This initial thumbnail here speaks volumes. Let me remove this little banner here for a hot second. It speaks volumes to the idea of what we're talking about here. Why? Because you have a system of people who are supposed to be educated, indoctrinated, programmed to do the work of being able to detail to you the good, the bad, the ugly of the situation. But we know that's not the case. Everything in America has to be glossed over in terms of the bad, and we still got to come up with some kind of good narrative, right? That whole idea of, you can find something good out of every situation. Like, that's the dumbest thing ever. Why? Because it makes people live a lie in the moment and stay in a hopium frame of mind, as opposed to dealing with people who transgress against them, people who put snares and obstacles in your way to purposely trip you up, and you're supposed to say, I'm fine, this is okay, this was just happenstance, it was just an act of whatever, and you're supposed to be fine with it. And you see the people lay the trap, you still say, no, that was just that was my fault. What? like no. Again, the marketplace will have you really just throw a grenade on all that foolishness, start coming from a place of what? Of true consciousness, based upon proper research methodology, things of that nature, how you connect those dots. Again, they've been talking about inflation being something that's just here today, gone tomorrow. Anybody who've lived through any kind of inflationary value before, they're going to be like, that's not how this stuff works. Government tells you, no, it's transitory. It's going to go away. It's going to abate. It'll be over before you know it. Trust me, we got tools and policies in place where we can deal with it when if it gets out of hand. Have any of you guys on the panel and in the back chat, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, have been hearing those same talking points across your airways in your local jurisdiction, on world type global news spaces or whatever? Have any of you guys been hearing that going back as far as February of last year?
Nope.
It's just transitory. It's, we got tools in place to fight it, right? This whole narrative that inflation is something that's just a one-off event. It comes and goes away right away, basically. Total opposite, right? Again, you got the Federal Reserve supposed to be some of the most educated people literally in our country, working with backward dated information, or they call it backwardation, backdated information, making future progressive policies over your life, working with bad data. And and they're making all these bad decisions because they have an agenda. Of course, we'll get to that. They're making all these bad decisions, and then again, about time the crap hits the fan, you that much more in debt now because of their bad policies. Again, gas, food, energy, utilities, etc., etc., etc. But yet still, all this other money have went somewhere else. And we know where it's at because that's why we're in this space. That's exactly why we're in this space, because we know where it's at now. We said we're going to bypass the middleman as much as possible and go straight to the source. Source up or what? Or shut up, as they say. Source up or shut up. Well, guess what? All of us are sourced up. And we're constantly sourcing up. And we will forever be sourcing up. Because we're not going to be lied to. Have our, financial future been mismanaged by charlatans, oligarchs and people who have vested interests because they're being paid and bought off by, the corporation system that's always been in place in America, where the wealthy always gets the benefit of the doubt. But they tell you Main Street is the true beacon of the economic readout in this nation. But we know that to be a lie now because they got exposed because of COVID. It came on the back of corporations, as it came back in the 2007, 2008, 2009 subprime lending crash. Who they bailed out first? Again, they bailed out the corporations. This time around, they knew they couldn't do that outright without having people show up with what? Pitchforks and butcher knives. So they say, okay, well, guess what? We can't just bail the corporation out now because people know our hustle. We got to give the people some kind of form of what? Compensation. It's already their money, but we got to make them feel like we're doing something for them. So they gave y'all guys what? A little $1,200 check, like maybe 2 or 3 times. Why they gave corporations what? Trillions with the T. Trillions of dollars. Trillions. They threw you a little $1,200 check. And you was like, okay, this is great. They never gave me nothing. This is good. Boy, government so good. What? 100% right over snotball. There may not even be a middle class in 2023. Right? The way things are going. Especially let them continuously do what they do. Look at them. We already talked about that several times too. Like we've been talking about that, man, going back to 2019, 2018. We've been constantly speaking about the idea of how, the wealth gap is expanding. Why? Because we get a chance to follow the data for real. We're not just talking about it from a place of, oh, we're just saying it because somebody else said it. We actually are being able to track the data now. Why? Because we study PCE. We studied CPI, PPI, right? We studied Empire State numbers. We studied wholesale resale numbers. We study housing market numbers. We study, again, anything that has to deal with money supply, M1, M2. We study these things now when before these things used to be kind of what? Off our radar. We understand the value of dilution, right? In terms of the USD dollar, buying power. How much buying power do you really have? You may have a salary that look good, but if your buying power is not what static or static, or at least in a dynamic fashion, but static to the ideal of it really carries weight in terms of having, a strong currency to really back that value of what you have, then yeah, it's questionable at best. Because again, if you're not getting a pay raise per year and the cost of living goes up every year, how are you going to make sense that you're growing? If your wages are stagnant, but the cost of living is going up. You know what they call that, guys? Starts with an S. Stagflation. Exactly what we're in right now. Stagflation.
Market data connection lost.
Right. Oh, there's my interactive broker. Shout out to Interactive Broker, right? Shout out to Interactive Broker. I've been trading on Interactive Broker here, and they have they call the automated bots on Interactive Broker. So even if you get busy, you placing trades, it speaks to your trades. It literally speaks your trades out, your entries, your exits, certain things. You can have it, and so you get busy, you get to hear audio, auto fill, right? It's a partially fill or whatever. So shout out to Interactive Broker, right? New age technology, right? Anyway. That's my Mr. Bentley, what they call Mr. the Butler. Yeah, the Interactive Broker audio bot. You filling my trades over there, June bud? Yeah, I got you. That's basically what's going on over there. Right, shout out to Interactive Broker. Right, so basically, that's just showing that the system, you sit for so long it'll cut off. It'll let you know that it's cut off. So I have to log back on. Anyway, but you guys get it again. So where do we sit through this? So we're talking about, again, inflation being transitory. This came out of all the Wall Street pundits. It came from all the reserve banks that feed into the central bank, the system, the global system as a whole, who was trying to feed the narrative that this stuff is going to blow away before you guys know it. Fast forward about 8-9 months into the
connection reestablished.
Okay, there it connected back on, so I had the internet outage, or at least the system tapped out and came back on. So all right, Interactive Broker, do your job then, do your thing. Again, 7, 8, 9, 10 months later, in comes some data, in terms of inflation, that is starting to pick up, because it showed that it was not transitory. Then you start hearing all the talking heads of Wall Street, CNBC, y'all know the usual, the Jim Cramers, all them, the goofballs, right? Then they start making a base case, hedge funds, this, that, and the third, saying that's inflation actually is really good for the stock market. Do you guys remember that by any chance? I'm asking you guys right now on the panel and everybody in the back chat. You guys remember when they was talking about, back on about the third quarter of last year, that inflation was actually good for the stock market? You guys remember that? I do. And I'm like, am I listening to this right? Are these people really trying to tell people that inflation is not as bad as it is, or it's a good thing?
Yeah, you talking about last year when they were saying that?
Yeah, like in the last year, they were talking about it went from it's transitory, now inflation actually is not that bad, or it's good. It's good for the market. Why? Because it gives a chance to shake out all these bad, scenarios that, in essence, going to give the feds the proper information to now fix it in a way where it shouldn't happen again, or governments to get off their feet and do something for the Congress, so they can make sure that we don't have to deal with these kind of issues. Meaning, go lobby better policies, right? We got imports and export scenario. Go lobby better policy. That's the job of a politician, right? To lobby for imports, exports, qualitative value of life, dealing with goods and services, right? We know that's the only two things that make sense on the planet is goods and services, right? You either got a product or you got a service on a capitalistic side of things, right? But this is the conversation. This is the talking points. They were like, yeah, inflation is good. And at that point, we was at 6%. We went from 4 in February. By October, we was at 6% in inflation. Income, the beginning of the new year, keep in mind, all this was before the war. They can't use that as an excuse. They can't use that as an excuse. That's what I was hearing today. I said, listen to these. Boy, look at these. Boy, look at these. Boy, look at him. I said, listen to these people here sit there and they just gonna lie to all these intelligent investors, people who really put in the work and understand what's going on here. See, they can't lie to y'all. That's the difference. They can't lie to y'all. Y'all know what it is. Scratch a lie, find a thief. All these people coming on TV, these pundits and fund managers and CEO or executive chief economist for this, hedge fund. Oh, but see, it's this, is that. They got clients. They got to tell it speak a good song, even when the record is square and scratch it all up. These people charlatans. They know they are. Smart people like y'all know they are too. Ridiculous price target hikes and dumb stuff when ain't no organic growth out there. Boy, stop. Girl, stop. We track the data. We know what's going on with this company. Ain't no organic growth out there. Stop. right? You shut them down before they even get started. The average American who don't understand this stuff, guess what? They buy into it. What they call hook, line, and sinker.
Market data connection lost.
All right, yeah. So this thing just falling all over the place tonight. It's only do that after hours though. Anyway, they send their line to a lot of people who are going to buy into that, but they can't lie to you all. Okay, then they say you got people like Elizabeth Warren, a few other people out there, AOC, Bernie Sanders, and a few people on the Republican side. Not many, but it's typically most Democrats. They start coming out saying what? It's the corporations. They're price gouging. They're price gouging. It's
Market data connection
it's
reestablished.
it's corporate greed. It's corporate greed that's causing the inflation. Like they're purposely sabotaging their business by not wanting to get their supply chain issues fixed properly. So by way of that, they're gonna play the high commodity cost way to pass on the cost to the end consumer, me and you at when the package is produced, landed, and skewed with a barcode on it. At that point, we got to raise prices on it, which is gonna give them a better margin. So we're gonna sabotage our own business for that perspective, our expansion, our growth, just so we can make money in this moment. Now, some of that could be true, maybe to a small degree, but for the greater part of all that, do you think that they were sitting there doing that at the extent that the Congress was sitting there saying that it's corporate greed? Because we know that inflation has always been a what? Where we at, Over Chris? I don't know, Over Chris. Some of you guys already know this too. Inflation has always been a what? A monetary issue. It has always been a monetary issue. Who told us that? Matter of fact, who taught us that? Now we got to go back into our educational trick bag. Inflation has always been a monetary issue. Milton Friedman, the late Milton Friedman, the one guy who defied the Wall Street talking heads and the fake economists, the liars of DC, challenged them on their stuff. This guy was a professor, challenged them on all their talking points when it came to understanding how economics truly work. They couldn't pull the wool over the people's eyes when Milton Friedman was speaking. Why? Because he educated people properly on exactly how the monetary system works. Do not be misled on this goofiness. They're going to tell you anything, but no, this is how you track the real data. Inflation comes through what? Stimulus. Excessive stimulus. Excessive stimulus. Not that you can't benefit from stimulus scenarios in and out your economy, like as what they call growth spurt moments, and moments when you kind of have downturn. But it's supposed to be what? Intermittently. It doesn't supposed to be a constant barrage of just printing. Why? Because you're going to dilute the worth of people's money, their savings, their asset value, and now you're finna go into a form of what? Y'all already know the rest. That causes, again, inflation. Too many dollars chasing too fewer goods. Because production is not equating to that of the monetary supply. M1, M2 is not equating to all that is money that's out there circulating. It's a form of dilution. You guys notice that they can't pull the wool over your eyes. They got people in Congress right now lobbying, saying there's corporate greed. And they get what? They got lobbyists, which are in the corporate world, paying them to establish policies to help their businesses out. Couldn't make this stuff up. Like, you can't have it both ways. Unless you just the ultimate liar, or you're just a bad judge of character or business or executive value. You're a bad judge of character when it comes to those things. But yet you're a politician. You're being paid to be here. You're supposed to have people around you that can pull up information, who could do research properly, come up with this stuff, and then give you good data so you can go out there and speak for your constituents, right? Your area of interest. And yet we know that that's not the case. These people want to be celebrities. They don't want to be civil servants. I've made that statement so many times. It's a t-shirt moment. Politicians want to be celebrities and not civil servants. It's a t-shirt moment. especially being around the DC region. I need to go get that t-shirt made and walk around all down, downtown Pennsylvania, Florida. I need to go walk around all downtown, DC area with that shirt on. These people are charlatans. I mean, we get it. But anyway, they tell you that it's corporate greed. That's what's causing the inflation. Corporate greed. They just raising the price at the gas station for no reason. Universally. The price at the grocery store going up universally just for no reason. The lumber yard that's charging you more for lumber to fix your house or build your house, it's just going up for no reason. Because corporate greed at these wholesale retail or these manufacturers just raise the price all of a sudden out of the blue. Like they all got on a secret email chain together and said, guys, guess what? Let's raise all our prices together. That way it don't seem like it's just individuals doing it. We'll do it all together. That way it seems like, okay, yeah, this is a phenomenon outside of the corporate sector. Is something else about it. Like, couldn't make this stuff up. Could not make this stuff up, guys. This is what they're telling you. So we're trying to figure out who are the true clowns out there. The true clowns are the people who are regurgitating, as we know it to be what? The crap, right? The BS. They're regurgitating old antiquated talking points and rhetoric to try to dumb down your truth or dumb down your understanding of how this stuff really works. And in doing so, they just bought them a new ally who gonna go along with the hustle. And you ain't even benefiting from it, really, if you go along with that hustle. Right? They bank on people agreeing to their bad policies and bad information. Again, $14 billion going to go to Ukraine right now. $14 billion. They just had a big fight between the Republicans and Democrats, literally at the end of last year, third quarter going into fourth quarter, about how they weren't going to pass that Build Back Better plan. Not that I agree with that bill and the way that it was designed. Some aspects of it I do, other parts of it I don't. That's a good part about being level-headed. Right? A clock is right twice a day. Don't necessarily mean that it's going to be right every single time of the day. So guess what? You know how to pick and choose what's right, what's not. Reality of that is just they're just kicking the can down the road because they know with all the value that we're dealing with now, it's only going to exacerbate the situation because they never got ahead of fixing inflation in the beginning. They never wanted to. Jerome Powell had ample time to fix it. He was always late. He's still late. He's constantly still trying to play the game of late, and they just find one excuse to the next to hold up the process of fixing this thing. Why? Because they're stress testing your pockets. They're going to take you to the last breath you got before they try to do something. And yet this magically comes up with $14 billion to give it to Ukrainians. $6 billion to give to Afghani people. They just find the money. Find money when all of a sudden that they gridlock on certain money, doing certain thing when it comes to fixing America, it's all this gridlock between Republicans and Democrats. They just playing a game of measuring each other, whatever. Knowing this stuff needs to get done at some form of fashion, at least aspect, but if somebody can be the bragging right person and say, well, at least we were the ones that did it, they're going to sabotage the next person. These people are self-inflicted saboteurs. Self-inflicted saboteur, but when it comes to somebody else, again, overwhelming support. Everybody outside the borders of America, overwhelming support. Because that's the narrative right now, right? That's why inflation is sitting at around about what? Really, we know that when they say, y'all know we had this conversation before. If the inflation number came out to be 7.9% today, realistically, what is that real inflationary number right now? I'm asking for a friend. What is the real inflationary number right now? Do you really think it's 7.9%? Do you really think inflation is 7.9%? Of course not. You know it's higher. You know it's higher. You know it's higher. So guess what? It's
Inflation like 12%, man. It's double
minimum.
digits for sure. It's double
Minimum
digits.
12. Minimum 12. And you guys, see, this is what separates us. And this is why I'm so excited to see a lot of us are getting on getting on code. What is the code? Understand how to read the monetary system properly and not be lied to. That stands for something, because you can better equip your partners, your children, your friends, your peers. You can better equip them with good sound information. If it's just one of you guys out of the entire crew, guess what? You have one of the most important positions in that circle. You're the person gonna keep everybody sane when it comes to them figuring out what to do with their money. You don't have to necessarily give them 100% financial advice. You just giving them tidbits of information, where to look, how to look, what to pay attention to. That's important. A lot of people are check to check. A lot of people are in a situation where, their degrees ain't really working for them in the way they thought it would, because of all these other issues and industry changes that happened over 10-year time spans. There's a lot of things that happen. You got to retool yourself. You got a pandemic just came out of. All that programming ain't really working so well in some cases. But the entrepreneur find a way to keep eating. The entrepreneurs find a way to keep eating. Ain't that something? So now it's Putin's fault that inflation is sitting at 10%, 12%, 13%, 15%. As if the war just kicked off literally, guys, the end of February. The end of February when the war kicked off. How did we get through all these months and now all of a sudden it's Putin's fault? That situation exacerbated it. It just really blew the lid off the lies that were being told from the ECB, European Central Bank, the Japanese central bankers, right? That we was getting out of America, because, we the head honcho central bank in America, of course. The lies, man, look, was runneth over, right? Like a cook, runneth over. The lies runneth over. How they just kept kicking the can down the road and didn't want to do the right thing and tackling and getting ahead of inflation. Now they're getting what? They're getting lambasted by inflation because they were greedy for too long. They were just too greedy for too long. And now you're going to have to pay the price for it. These people got on the mics and said, guys, we're doing this for the Ukrainian people. We get to weather the storm. You got to weather the storm a little bit. We're doing this for the people. We're going to help these people fight for their freedom. And what you fighting for these people freedom through your tax dollar, what is that going to do to make your quality of life better? Go, anybody. Somebody that's not even in your country, had nothing to do with your situation, but you're going to liberate these people through your tax dollars, leaving you with what? A good country to go to bed with overnight? While your children are starving, hungry, while you can't pay your bills, you can't pay your car note, and yet these Ukrainian people are going to come over and get AAA credit, use the money out of your tax dollar to get them a nice house, a nice new fresh start on life, and you hungry. Show me where they're at. Show me where in the survivor guide, as we say, self-preservation, where that makes sense. Anybody, go. Somebody show me where that makes sense. Somebody gonna say, well, that's insensitive, bro. Since where? Since when? Since when you were supposed to not look out for your best interest first, before you can look out for somebody else's best interest? If your situation ain't together, how can you look out for somebody else's best interest first? I'm just asking for a friend. I'm asking. Markets are a true barometer of what these people really think, because a lot of their wealth and riches are stored in it. If you want to go to the source, come to the stock market. How the saying go? You don't want the producer and people, screaming all over your record and jumping up and down on your album cover, or whatever. Come to Death Row Records. That's all I'm gonna say. Come to Death Row Records, because it's straight shooter information over here. It's straight shooter reality here. It's none of all that, whatever, right? They're going to tell you that it's somebody else's fault when we know whose fault it really is. So whose fault was it before this war kicked off then? I'm just asking for a friend. Whose fault was inflation before all this war stuff kicked off? I'm just asking for a friend. I can show you better than I can tell you. As they say, scratch a lie, find a thief, right? There has to be a corporate entity. You was alluding to it a little bit, Oba Sonny. You was dead on when you were speaking about the idea of how they It's something, right? It's something for something. It's quid pro quo. I repeat, it's quid pro quo. Something for something. It's a reason why they're going to take American taxpayer dollars without their consent and tell everybody that they gave consent by way of them, posting on social media and here and there, the little, echo chambers, and they using those people, selected people only, small amount, to say that these American people are agreeing with us, giving this money to these people. We know there's a vested interest for them to do that, because we know there's a conflict of interest coming out of the story of Ukraine right now, that data is showing that these people ain't who they say they are. They are not who they say they are. And Putin ain't 100% wrong in what he might be thinking he's doing in terms of being right. Conflict of interest. People forgot about the whole Hunter Biden situation. That money from Ukraine, that whole thing when Trump was trying to get them to investigate him, like everybody was in bed, that whole area though, so he'd blame too, but all of them in bed with these people. Ukraine been a hotbed strategic place. When neo-colonialism came up in there, set up shop so they could do the same thing they've been doing. In this case, that's just old conflict, European conflict in that whole quarter right there. They're jockeying for space. Russia feel like they're impeding on their space to be all up in their business, of course, with NATO. And they found the proxy government to do that through Ukraine and promised these people something that they know they was never going to deliver on. They just used that landmass to spy on their own family members in terms of Putin. It's just deep. I don't want to go deep into that. Maybe we'll do another show on that specific about it, but I'm just going to lay the framework for 2 seconds. There has to be a vested interest somewhere for the people to come up with all this money to give it to other people off your tax dollars. There has to be something. It has to be something, bro. Because politicians and the people that they put out in front of these press conference, news reels, publications, it shows you exactly what's going on here. It's never people that's down the line that they have in front of the camera. It's not like an AOC. It's not like one of these people. It's not the people. It's always these certain people. So I present to you guys today Exhibit A, quid pro quo. Quid pro quo.
Hey, oh, we still got this one.
Can y'all see my screen?
Yeah, we got it.
Quid pro quo. This is why, amongst other reasons, this is why they're going to bat and they fighting to take your tax dollars and give it to these very questionable people. Very questionable. Very questionable. I repeat, very questionable. Quid pro quo. Again, the first one was Hunter Biden. We know the whole situation with that. Trump was trying to expose that. Hate, like, love it, and different. Information, disinformation. They was exposing that. Turned out he's on the board of an energy company. I actually did the research. He's sitting on the board of an energy company over there in Ukraine. This happened after they did that coup in Ukraine to overthrow the previous guy, put in this puppet guy, right before Zelensky came. This other guy, I forgot his name, it's on the tip of my tongue. They put him in, and then came all these particular corporate deals that they were just passing out to these American and European oligarchs and politicians. They start doling out benefits to their family members and stuff to reap the benefits of the wealth of being strategically in those areas. These people had no experience whatsoever in a lot of these different industries. They just threw them a bag because they had that lobby connection into Washington D.C. or into the UK or to Great Britain or into France or into Germany. Income Exhibit A. This is why they're going so hard about this whole Ukraine-Russia thing as well. Because it's a paper trail that is going to lead to them. It's a paper trail that leads to them. The same thing they was talking about the issue with Benghazi and the Clintons and Hillary Clinton. How that whole scenario operation got botched. And those people got killed and they had the embassy held up. Y'all remember it like yesterday in Libya and all that stuff, and many other places around Somalia. We can go on and on and on. Kosovo, we can go on and on and on and on. These people are not who they say they are. And if you don't know any better, you'll just sit there and let people tell you anything. And you'll get behind anybody's movement. You'll get behind anybody's movement. And then you'll be like, okay, yeah, it's because of this. Yeah. I don't mind. Yeah, I pay a little extra at the pump. I pay, $2-3 extra at the pump. The heck I will. You a lie. I ain't finna pay for, look, not me. I won't drive. Look, I skateboard all around. I skateboard all around the DMV. I get on one of the little kid scooters and wear the bottom of my shoes out, boy, scooting around it. Look at him. Not me. I'm not bearing that cross for nobody when I know it's self-inflicted. And yet, again, they can't seem to pay you what they owe you through your taxation. They can't seem to fix your roads, fix your school system, to give people a better qualitative value of life, fix things, innovate things in a way where we can be competitive going into the future, because they're too busy robbing you for their own personal gain and wealth. While nations like Asia, especially China, already 10, 20 years ahead of us in terms of technology. That's why they're so afraid of China. Could make this stuff up, not making this stuff up. People sleep at the wheel thinking they, all right, this is why. Mitt Romney's son getting paid. Pelosi's son getting paid. John Kerry getting paid. See, it's always a paper trail, bro. Again, follow the money, you'll find out what's going on. Scratch a lie, find a thief. Look, there's always a paper trail. Always. Believe that. There's always a paper trail. They just need people to be complicit in the benign neglect aspect of figuring out whether it's true or not. And then, okay, they just say anything over the airwaves, and then people are like, okay, this is it must be what it is. But ultimately, you already know what it is. It's the what? You know it's the lies. Endless batch of lies. A fresh batch being baked every day. A fresh batch of lies every day. Oh, it's this, bro. It's that. It's this. It's because of this why they doing it. Oh, this guy's a really bad person, and this and this, that. And you start looking like, bro, if I didn't know how to do objective journalism myself, I'll fall for anything. If I didn't know how to do objective journalism myself, I would fall for anything. There's a lot of people out there who are happy to fall for anything. They're comfortable just living within the lie itself. I'm like, bro, forget that. The markets are signaling to you in a lot of ways, how to dispel the lie, because it's chasing money. That's all the market gonna try to do every day is chase money. And if they can come up with a way to make the market feel as if it's protected because of this, they're gonna get money out of this, or stimulus money into this place. At some point, it's gonna be a return on that investment through some company that we're gonna incur into our system, and so to speak, our markets with. Look, they all for it. But here, it's hard for them to hide it as it is that they could do to the average Main Street American when they can just cut on news and just say anything. Over here, it's hard for them to hide it. We can track the paper trail better here. It's my point. We can track the paper trail better here. You see what they're doing right now with the whole Russia, cancer culture. They took all the Russian stocks out of the S&P, off the Nasdaq. They're doing everything they can. They hurting individual citizens, not the government or the military. They're hurting individual citizens and lumping them all into one group because of what? One guy in terms of Putin. When last time y'all saw these countries, especially like Europe and America, go this hard to try to cancel somebody. To the point it's going to what? Do collateral damage on his people, on the people that got nothing to do with this. Think about that. They going that hard. You know what's up. Like you guys know what it is, right? You guys know what it is. He said, you know what it is. You know what it is. You sure do. Because it's corporate interest. It has always been that. Always. Always, right? So yeah, again, I'm look, this is why I enjoy what I do, because we know how to connect dots. Connect dots leading to that has the potential to lead to a bag. We understand all the foolishness that surrounds it by all intents and purposes. Make no mistake about it. We understand all that. But for one thing, we're not going to be misled and lied to on this perspective, at least. Because we can, again, track the data. Scratch the lie, find the thief, know what's going on. Okay, we got you. We already got you. Again, why are you going to pay higher prices at the gas station, again, the grocery store, your energy, utility bills, housing costs, this, that, and the third? They're just doing all that so they can make sure that their family members keep a nice little paycheck or bag coming at the expense of you. At the expense of you. While you're having to deal with things like this right here. You got to deal with the cost of meats in terms of poultry, bovine animals, pigs, all that stuff, fish and eggs, sitting up here, an 18% increase since 2020. 18%. 18%. And these are staple items for most people because that's the source of their protein. Up 18+%. Couldn't make this stuff up. Dairy up 7+%. It's probably higher after today's readout. This data here was compiled before the CPI data came out, even today. This was just about a couple weeks ago, a week ago, somewhere around there. Dairy up 7+%. Fruits and vegetables up 9+%. Cereal and baked goods, bread. Now that's going to even go up higher. Why? Because what just happened over there in Ukraine and Russia? We talked about this religiously. What do Ukraine and Russia export more than anything? What does Russia and Ukraine export more than anything, guys? Anybody remember what we've been talking about? Y'all been seeing the stocks jumping up just last couple of days. What's some stocks that's been running a lot lately? What do they produce over there a lot?
Wheat.
Was that wheat?
See, look at it. Boy, see, boy, this is why y'all, boy, this is why I'm gonna dance at y'all wedding, right? Even at your renewal of your vows, and some of y'all, or what I'm talking about. Look, go. Cereal and bread are mostly what? Wheat-based products. Now, this is the old readout. Now, y'all know that 10%, it's got to be it easily now around about what? 15%, 15+%. Wheat prices been running. Wheat been running. Wheat been surging. Goodbye to 10%. You're going to be paying around about 15, dang near 12 to 15+% now for bread, cereal, stuff like that, because of, Ukraine and Russia being the second and third largest wheat producer on the planet. Some would say the first. But that little whole area combined, that lets you know it's one landmass because the soil is obviously continuing. It's not like just because you get to somebody else's border, your soil just turns to a whole new different level of PhD and all this stuff, right? Right? You couldn't make this stuff up. All right, pH level, I'm talking PhD. pH level, right? So they grow a lot of wheat over there, a lot of corn, but wheat definitely the biggest thing that they produce over there. And your breads, your pastas, your cereals, any of the things of that nature have to deal with that. It's going to go up exorbitantly higher next month. Exorbitantly a lot higher next month. Let that marinate, guys. It adds up on a grocery bill. People are playing. Imagine you had to pay an extra 15%. Right? An extra 15% on your pasta. Let's say you bought a box of noodles that cost you $1 for maybe maybe 3 ounces or whatever, 4 ounces, whatever. Just an extra 15% on top of that. That means it's a dollar what? $1.15. That's before even the tax hit it. Now that extra 15 cents on top of an extra what? 20+% on your meat and poultry, which is some of your biggest high dollar items when you go to the grocery store, extra 9+% on your fruits and vegetables, and extra what? 7% on your milk and dairy products. Add all that together and then put the tax on top of it. Go. Is if you got that extra, if you already coming there with a budget, but add all that together, then you're supposed to be like, oh no, this is, this is fine. How the Lamine go to the dog in the house on fire? This is fine. And it ain't slowing down. It's not stopping. It's going higher. You're going to carry this cost additional months. It wasn't like it was a one-off event. Oh, we just did it for this month and then it cooled down the next month. It's been like this consecutively coming out of what? February of last year. From 4% plus, 3%, 4%, into 5, into 6, into 7. Now we sitting up here 8+ on the totality, but we know it's more than that. We gotta play the game. We ain't gonna play it, but that's what they want you to play the game at. Like it's what it is. We know it's higher than that. We know it's a way lot higher than the 7.9 readout today. It was look, these people think you that dumb. It came in right at estimate at 7.9%. Right at estimate. A very volatile readout in itself because of having to deal with commodity. Look, these people's all right. Y'all get it. The joke about it, bro. You on them today. Look, I know I'm preaching to the choir in this case because this is what we do. We study this stuff. We go over this stuff. We're unusual than the average people because we see the importance of these different data points where people can't lie to you. Your governments can't lie to you. Your politicians can't lie to you. You know how to track this data on your own. Even when they try to cook the data or cook the books, you can still track the stuff on your own. As a participant in the markets, global markets, you know exactly where to go, how to interpret it, how to break it down. Guys, look, this is what makes you different than a lot of people. This is what makes you different than a lot of people. And I just got to say that because you're doing that real work. You're putting in that real work. Right? It comes a point where when we know how to, follow the data, track the money, guess what? Our investments or our trades should be able to mirror that as much as possible, at least to the point where our risk management has a lot of proper content value or conviction to it, I should say, and context. You're not just throwing something out the wall, see what sticks. That's the whole part about this, guys. Because we tell people every day, numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie if you know how to track them properly, how to read into them properly. And a lot of people don't want to hear this. Why? Because they're too busy trying to keep their head in the hole like an ostrich. They take it personal. Why? Because it may be somebody they know, a family member, a friend that may be in the midst of some of this, this chaos and carnage. And so everybody wants to draw sympathy and at the expense of somebody else. Now, on the civic level, if the world was playing on an even playing field, then yeah, it'll be the most humanistic thing that you can do. But we know that's not the case. The goals that they're taking from people who already don't have and giving it to people who barely have, or maybe even have more than the person that don't have, and they're telling you that's what you're supposed to do. Yet nobody that have the most is coming really to help your situation. More than what they need, no one really coming to your aid in your situation. And you're supposed to be fine with that. You're supposed to be fine with that. Boy. Anyway. So again, inflation is kicking them in the teeth. They can't deal with it. They needed a scapegoat. They think they can get the scapegoat in Putin, but we know they can't even use that lie because we know this inflation was already certain before that war even kicked off. These people straight clowns now. Every time you hear a broadcast on CNBC, NBC, CBS, Fox Business, Bloomberg, any of these financial forecasting channels or publications, just regular news, your local jurisdiction, anytime you hear any of them idiots jump on the airwaves and say it's because of Putin why your gas prices are high, why your grocery bills are high, why you paying higher energy costs and lumber costs and aluminum costs, it's Putin's fault. Just when you see them saying that, or see them or hear them saying that, imagine with a clown nose on them and a clown wig on some makeup on their face. Imagine them as the biggest clown ever. True story. It's like you look at them, but you're looking past them because you know they just in there looking like a clown. Like, listen to this clown. They think I'm that ignorant. They think I'm that slow. They act like I don't know this stuff. They have no clue. They just need you to be complicit. Greatest hustle ever. Right? Greatest hustle ever. But you guys would not be hustled, right? You will not be hustled. Right? So I think, for what it's worth, getting to this point, have gotten to this point. Again, just look on this here. Again, we're talking about it's crazy, right? Let me pull up the other one here because that way I got my little icon covering it. But again, this stuff is just through the roof. It's surging. It's surging. Look here. Grocery bills rise most in 3 decades. Evolution is supposed to be about making quality of life better through technology innovation. How are you having a 30-year reunion? How are you having a 30-year reunion in terms of what? Inflation. And all these smart people that walk around here claiming they smart, got degrees that claim that they smart, sit from a place of bad information, and they trying to tell you how to live your life, and they can't even balance their own checkbook. What do I mean by that? They can't balance the checkbook of America. And they're supposed to be PhD economists and magna cum laude type of graduates and emeritus type of what? Economists and think tanks and financial aid, and they can't even balance their own checkbook. America debt sitting at $30 trillion. 30 plus trillion. And these people are telling you, the layman purpose, the lay people, that, because they feel like most of you guys don't know any better, which, we know that's a lie. But they're telling you that, no, it's because of this, it's because of that, it's because of this person. And we know it's because of them. See, this right here, what they can't lie. They can't lie to you. How to go pull up data like this right here. Shout out to Ober Chris to pull this screenshot up here. See, they can't lie to you once you learn how to go find and track the money back to them. Back test them. Go back test they lie. Right? Like we do with a chart. Go back test they lie. Assets, total assets, less eliminations from what? Consolidation. The Wednesday level. As of Wednesday, that value, what the previous week, of course, that is $8.9 trillion sitting on the Fed's balance sheet. 8.9 trillion. That's trillion with a T. Before COVID, heck, even before tariffs, 2018, before tariffs kicked off, y'all know how much money sitting on the Fed's balance sheet at that time? I don't know if y'all remember now. I do, of course, because we were talking about that stuff way back then. I was tracking that data way back then. They was actually at that time they was doing a little bit of what? Balance sheet runoff. They had mandates at that time before even tariffs to start doing some balance sheet runoffs. Because y'all remember they start what? Remember Jerome Powell started raising rates, and Trump almost blew a blood vessel. Europe is almost at 0 interest rate. Italy is at 0 interest rate. Why we ain't got 0 interest rate like everybody else? Y'all remember that? And him and Jerome Powell were warring. They was at war with each other, literally. Trump was hot, boy. He's like, man, how we interest rates just too high. And Jerome only had raised like a quarter basis point. He did it twice, but then still, they were trying to do balance sheet reduction at that time. I mean, it just because the stimulus and the quantitative easing that was coming out the back of even the Obama administration was still what? Pumping money into the market. Stimulate. Man, boy, I tell you what, boy, once you learn how to connect them dots, I just keep saying that. It gets real good. At that time, I think they were like $2 trillion, $2+ trillion, $2 or $3 trillion on their balance sheet at the time. I think Obama had accounted for around about the whole 8 years. I think they said Obama accounted for close to around about what, $3 to $4 somewhere $1 trillion, somewhere around there, give or take. Y'all can go pull the data up. Keep in mind, he came at the point when the subprime lending crash, right? They had to clean up all that bad stuff that came from what, George Bush the second, with the war stuff and all that stuff like that. They had to clean up all that dumb stuff. So again, Ben Bernanke printing like a madman. Stimulus, he got addicted to it so much it went to his head. Following the, his godfather and his mindset was Alan Greenspan. Straight charlatans. These people are straight charlatans and frauds. Straight charlatans and fraud. Think that money grow on trees, literally. They bought into that ideology and start printing all this fake money out of thin air and just buying real tangible assets with it. More so giving it to, again, people who already got money, the wealthy, or that of what Wall Street, the likes of the Wall Street, the Lehman Brothers that went under, and some people like that. AIG, all these little other crooks like that. Corporate buybacks, corporate bonuses. Y'all know the rest. Again, now we see that basically $9 trillion on the Fed balance sheet. Look at that straight line, guys. Look at the straight line. Look at the movement within that chart there. What is that really signaling to you? Endless pumping, endless pumping, endless pumping. No organic growth in marketplaces to be really accounted for, higher than necessary evaluations on these companies' books. And then yet still, they got no production, nothing to really back it up, just too much future fake growth because of cheap money. And then Main Street is sitting there looking like, bro, okay, throw us a bone. Well, you need to be investing in the stock market because we care about maximum employment. We just make sure you got a job. That's good. We did our part. But the road to true wealth is through, you working 20 years on the job. And man, if you don't look, 9 trillion. Quantitative easing ended yesterday. $120 billion was being dumped into the stock market every month. The Feds were pumping 120. That's just on that side. That's not even got to do with all the other stuff. Before we go deep into that other stuff, they were just pumping $120 billion every single month. Mortgage-backed securities and T-bills, bonds, basically. Suppressing the dollar, suppressing bonds, inorganically manipulating them to keep them down so they keep interest rate low as they can, so corporations can borrow more money at cheaper rates so they can turn around and buy bigger things at cheaper rates so they can make better profit margins. They can pad their wealth and their profitability while they really ain't really do no real true organic growth. They were just making the case through paperwork that they were, and they were just too busy. They were just kicking the can down the road doing nothing. How do you know that? Because you can go check their CapEx spending. You can go check anything that has to do with CapEx or M&A, and you can see whether or not these companies have been doing anything to really innovate and grow the company. So in the interim of doing that, they turned around and did what? They just started buying back shares of their stock. That was the biggest hustle. All 2018, 2019, they really ramped up the buybacks. That became the corporate hustle. Buy back your shares. And you don't even benefit from it as a shareholder unless you share your position. And if you sell your position, doing a buyback that causes the stock to go up because the shares being bought back off the open market, you're going to incur the taxation. It's not that they give it to you in the form of a dividend. That way the company incurred taxation costs. And it really becomes a perk for being an investor or stakeholder in that company. That's the whole point of it. You're supposed to give it to them in the form of a dividend, not a buyback. Because you telling these people they got to liquidate their position, they long held, hard-earned position in order to benefit off that stock price going up for the internet and for that little moment. Couldn't make this stuff up. See, when you know better, you do better. You think better. You know how to act better. They can't pull the wool over your eyes when you know how the hustle is. That's why you had some senators out there was fighting against that did little corporate buybacks and how they knew there was a hustle, right? Again, shout out to Elizabeth Warren on that side at least. She was one of many that was trying to do that. These corporate buybacks. Because they were mismanaging people's money, really, at the ultimate end of the day. At the end of the day, let's be 100% real. There's mismanagement. Anyway, y'all get it. So again, market resiliency or market fear. What are we dealing with right now? Market fear or market resiliency? Are the markets just that resilient? What did the market do today with all that bad news that came out today? Unemployment claims went up. Inflation was at 7.9, came in line, but we know it's more than that. Again, I'll leave it at that. GDP, actually, that was the biggest elephant in the room that everybody glossed over. They gave GDP forecasts. I don't know if y'all saw that or not. How about we missed on all our GDP forecasts for the next 2 years? We missed on the expectations. Basically, we're going to come in lower than what they initially expected. That means if your GDP growth is contracting, that means your earnings growth are going to what? Contract as well. China gave theirs recently too and tried to gloss over it. This is how you know. When you know how to track that stuff, you know they can't lie to you. You know they can't lie to you. We came in under the expectation on GDP. So like I said before, all that stuff that they were talking about, oh, GDP is just through the roof. And remember, for third quarter, fourth quarter last year, GDP up 6%. I said that's a base effect. They're using the base effect. Don't fall for it. Everything looks big from the bottom. When you're on the bottom, everything looks bigger. They used the base effect to have that such a big number, but you know that wasn't a real GDP number because people weren't barely going back to work. We weren't producing nothing. No goods, no service. People was at home. This how come you know, boy, I'd be here for hours. I cannot. I got training tonight. Y'all got training tonight that want to be a part of it, of course. But y'all get it. That's why I'm look. I'm just saying right now, that's about the best I could do right now. That's about the best I could do for Jerome Powell and Kamala and Biden. That's about the best I could do for them right now. They're dumpster fire. They're just straight dumpster fire.
Oh,
that's about the best I could do. Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to ask you, since you and Chris was around for 2008 crash, right? And they mainly put it on the housing, the home lenders, based on the domino effect that made it start crashing in the beginning of the stages, right? Yeah. What do you see as far as now? What are the beginning stages of what field is starting to crack?
Well, we had .com, right? We had, of course, using that kind of industrial change, because we know we talked about this several times, that, of course, every 10 years you have an industry change, right? You had a housing boom, where we came out of the surplus with Bill Clinton. Longest time we ever had a president had a surplus. That's why interest rates were like super, super high during that time. But people had money because the quality of life was actually starting to show the semblance of people who had ability to kind of make a leg up in life. Bill Clinton came in the office, Bush came in the office, squandered all that because of what? This imaginary fake war. Destabilized banking systems, destabilized America's homes, destabilized everybody so they can make what? Profitable decisions on the back end of blowing somebody else's nation to rubble so they can turn around and eat off the ashes, right? The bullets and the bandages, right? On top of that, it thinned out everybody's ability that went out and bought houses to have a better quality of life, where there are people like, okay, yeah, things are good, lending is good. They were letting money go down range in these banks. It got so good that they started doing what they call these byproduct type of sublet deals on mortgages. That was the whole issue with the subprime lending, right? Subprime, right? A middleman on top of the bigger man feeding into these adjustable rate mortgages got people hooked on them. And a lot of them were black people too. That was the data led to it. They started using a lot of black people, where they was giving, black people who, they knew enough, but they didn't know enough, right? Hustling them from their fixed rate mortgages into adjustable rate mortgages for a moment, not knowing that, interest rates go up and go down based upon boom and bust cycles of economies. Hook, line, and sinker, all these people, they were buying houses, 2-story base houses, 2,000, 3,000 square foot base properties. And then the interest rates went up on them 10% overnight, 8% overnight. I get 12, 17% overnight. Hustled them. We knew what happened with the .com bubble, kind of in the same semblance. Here we are now, kind of going through the same thing And guess what the new bubble is? It's the tech bubble. It's the technology bubble. Companies coming in, the SPACs, all this stuff read into the whole ideal of it, what I'm saying. Where they're giving these companies future forward valuations 5 and 10 years into the future, and these companies ain't produced not one product, one skewed product landed and out the door that they can model it. A la what we saw with Nikola Tesla, right? The company. How the CEO just banked on what? Diluting the shares to death, borrowed all the money against investors thinking they had something great, an electrical vehicle truck. He cashed out when it bought one of the biggest properties ever in Utah, made all this money, and now he's getting investigated for all kind of other fraud stuff. But this is new hustle because they know investors are so excited for the next big thing to blow that they're chasing all these fugazi companies because Wall Street gave the okay on these companies, the underwriters, right? The people who did their books, the JP Morgan, the Morgan Stanleys, the Goldman Sachs. And that's why a lot of them start saying, okay, well, here's a way we can even get around that and come in a lot cheaper into the stock market, not going the conventional way. We come in under what? Under a SPAC, reverse merger. We come in, don't have to pay all the high filing fees to the Nasdaq, this, that, and the third. The company's already got share allocations out there by cleaning up these dirty, bad companies, put a new brand on it, hand the keys over to you. Here's your new way of to come in and borrow money straight out the gate. Tech companies through the roof. $30 billion market cap, 50 billion market cap, 100 billion market cap. And again, we talking about companies that ain't produced not one product. And they know people excitement to be in those new industry spaces fell right into the trap. We showed just the last live stream we did. We went over that. We showed companies that was sitting way up here at the top of these different prices because all this cheap money coming through the Fed. And then they start literally 7-8 months later to start sitting at basically on the ground floor. They ain't at the ground floor, they're in the mail room at this point. Case in point, this one right here. Right? Case in point, this one right here. Let's go there. Let's go there.
Right? That one's not the one that's owned by Amazon? Or,
Amazon owns shares
partnered up with Amazon?
Yeah, they own shares in it, right? Bad investment. Look right here. Right? Let's go there. Hold up. Let me go to the daily and let's go there. 1 second. Couldn't make this stuff up, guys. Couldn't make this stuff up. Right? Rivian went to how much a share? It got up as high as how much?
172.
$172. It opened up on IPO, or it came in the market obviously on this SPAC snare at 100. They gave that kind of valuation on the company that had not one truck manufactured, none of that stuff. Just throwing money away, throwing money at people. Went to $1.70, dang near $1.80 if you really count all that squeeze within the day. Now sitting down here at what price? Let me put the current price on this thing.
I think it's like 50.
Let me share. Do you see the chart now? What that chart look like right there? What that price down there?
38, 35.
35. That's the current price right now. They had earnings tonight. That's why I was showing the screen. I'm showing you what y'all caught that. Rivian had earnings tonight. They exposed the ideal of the investment from Amazon. And it's the reason why Amazon came out with that news about the stock split yesterday. Go figure. Why did they come out with that news yesterday about the stock split yesterday? Going into a CPI data readout. Why did they choose yesterday to come up with that news? So you got to see the angle how Wall Street works. These people talk too. They talk too. Instantly when that news came out, it caused the stock market from falling. S&P was pulling back after it already had a monster day. It was pulling back into the close. That news on Amazon sent the market, put a layer underneath the market for a little bit. These people are well-crafted criminals and crooks. Everyone knows this. It's no secret. Well, wouldn't that make you want to be invested? No. Because I'm taking executive decisions based upon utilizing the same vehicles, the financial vehicles. I just want the price action. I'm here using these vehicles to get me where I want to go. Their reasons are more sinister and insidious because they will convince people that this company out the gate, we vouched for it. We done all the research that these people got all this money to do all this research on these companies and tell you that out the gate, we think that, Rivian should be worth $100 coming into is what? Debut of an IPO or SPAC listing, because we think their future forward growth warrants this based upon this industry, the space where they're going to, be able to grow and flourish at some point in the future. Not necessarily that mean that it won't, but ahead of the game, we're going to go ahead and cheat early and give it this high price valuation, run the stock up. We're going to sell into that spike, make us a ton of money, and then we're going to make excuses all the way down why you should stay invested in this space. We're going to make excuses all the way down why you, the retail investor, should stay in this space. And you're going to believe it if you don't know how to put two and two together and do your own research. That same thing politicians do every single day. And people bought up here at 120, 130, 140, 150, 160. Some people are buying up here at 170. And now the stock is down to $35 a share. Somebody make sense to that. Somebody make that make sense.
Just
I'm
think
just
of how
asking
many
for.
people bought back in when it started getting lower. You know how people was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna buy it for cheaper," and it just keep going lower and lower and lower, and they kept trying to buy cheaper and cheaper until it got to 35. Oh, it's
My
ugly.
point. See, when you know how to hunt and fish properly, you know how to be patient. What's been my whole thesis since all this stuff, guys? Be what? Be patient. I had to endure that through some side eye a little bit from my own little family. Like, man, look, bro, I'm just talking about, bro. Look, no, market ain't right. I'm like, bro, be patient. I've been doing some lot of history and research. I'm like, guys, be patient. Be patient. This marketing ain't what it seems to be. That whole body dip culture is malignant, for lack of better terminology, but they're malignant, cancerous culture of people who don't understand true, proper what? Fundamental analysis, historical context, and proper, true, technical what? Assessment of what the markets are signaling, going into what? Very, very tight monetary conditions. How can you account for certain what? Valuations. So you ask that question over Sunday, how can you, what's going to be the next one? This is how you can tell right now. Look at their PEs. PEs was sitting at 1,000 plus. PEs sitting into the well into the hundreds. PEs, their price to earnings sitting into the hundreds. And the share price is sitting at what? $20, $30, $100. And again, you say, well, what's the go? Where's the revenue on the books to show that they are comparable to these future valuations? Oh, it's not there. Well, they're going to grow into it. Well, under what conditions? If you have a slowly contracting what economic situation ahead of you, how can these people grow into these particular what valuations properly when the global growth as a whole is contracting? Somebody make that make sense. Go. This is why we are different. This is why we're different. Because most people like, bro, we don't got time for all that. Just give me a ticker, show me a place on the chart where I need to be mapping it out, and let me go out there and trade it. I don't care about all that other stuff. I don't care about fundamental analysis. I barely care about technicals, but I know I need to use that for certain things. I don't care about all the other stuff that's happening in Washington, but I don't care about all that. I know tons of traders that are like that. No swipe or no swipe at them. It's just that they working what works. They working with what works for them. If they're making money, so be it. But I'm not gonna go live and give people incomplete information. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. I'm gonna come on here after studying this stuff, following it, long as I've been following, and the way that I continuously pour a lot of countless hours in this information, in my research. I'm not gonna come in here and give people pipe dreams just so we can whatever. Look, I don't care if 2 people watch our live stream, bro. We winning because we're getting proper education. So in the future, a lot of the things that you guys are going to do in this industry, field is going to carry weight and merit. Why? Because you're doing it with the utmost information, concern, the whole reality, conviction, so to speak. You're getting it in a way where you should have gotten it from the beginning. That's the difference. So we are in the new tech bubble. I'm just asking the innovation that's these companies. All right. But again, leave it to a lot of people out there who just, say that we're just, or they would take the approach that you kind of speaking on their little stocks and this, that, and third. They get it personal. I tell people that's why we tell people don't fall in love with not one stock, one company out here. If you do, you're gonna get crushed. You're gonna get your feelings hurt. Then you'll be trying to figure out how to explain to other people why somebody else is wrong and you right, and the stock is still coming down though, right? So we say numbers don't lie, right? Don't we use that terminology, guys? Numbers don't lie. We say it all the time. Numbers don't lie. Of course, I was a big proponent of NEO several times, still am. But right now, Chinese economy getting crushed because of what? A myriad of reasons. And a lot of us were trading NEO when it was down here at $1 a share, when it was down, at $5, and when it made that big, pullback before it ran up and went up again. And again, a lot of us were trading. Y'all was in them group. We were just trading it at the time. Some of us had started positions around $20, $30 a share. Again, anything is subject to change, and you have to adjust when necessary. A lot of people holding the bag up here at 60, right? Up here around, $40, $50. They holding the bag up here, and now they have to put good money on on a downtrending trade. That's the most suckiest feeling ever. Why? Because again, sometimes you could be a little too soon. Right? Say go too soon. It's okay. Again, markets, and I'm saying it's on okay. It's okay because there's a lot of things happening that, again, sometimes you can't foresee it. We get it. The world is again, it's enigmatic. Weird stuff happen. People fight. Governments fight. That causes destabilization in terms of commerce. Again, left to these companies, their own devices, these companies will just do what they do, right? These people who are genius in their own right in terms of the engineers to come up with this stuff, but they still got to deal with, maybe the wrong board of directors, wrong board members, wrong economies that they may be in at the time when they have a great product, and they got to get through all that. All they do is want to work their engineering magic to kind of produce a product or something that the world may utilize. But that's how we know, sometimes the wrong people in the right places. And so you got to be able to account for that too. That's what they call that ancillary tax that you can't account for. Again, a la Nikola, Trevor Milton, biggest scumbag ever. Again, literally ransacked its investors. Ransacked them. And they did the same thing. They was buying at crazy numbers, and the stock basically fell from what? Because of all that the goofiness of the CEO, this, that, and third. It started sitting at $7 a share. Nikola was up here at dang near 90 plus, right? When it made that big squeeze, it went way up there. Where that thing at? It's somewhere up here. Yeah, it's like up here, like 90 some odd dollars a share. Guys, y'all know how long ago that was? That was just 2020. People fail to realize that was just 2020. It went to $93. $93, basically $94 in 2020, June of 2020, during the middle of COVID. 93. It's sitting at $7 right now. 7 or 8, right? $8. Somebody make that make sense. So even knowing how to move money properly between these vehicles, these financial vehicles, that's important too. Again, we are in times now where innovation and growth turns away very fast because of everybody trying to come up with some kind of new form of this, that, the third. A victim of our own successes, one would say, because we're not giving things the proper time to mature or maturate into, a greater opportunity or greater vehicle or greater tool or whatever, mousetrap. So we're undercutting even, baseline innovation and this, that, and the third. It gets messy. But nonetheless, again, it's just an extension of when you come to the Wall Street side of things, as opposed to just a regular consumer, and you see things for what they are because you can backtrack the information. Again, it changes the whole ball game. You're not consuming recklessly as the way you used to. You're not just taking a very blanket statement and just casting across all kind of different innovation values and the companies and this, that, and third. Once you know how to really, delve into the numbers or into the detail and see what's really going on. Well, guess what? We do this stuff for a living, guys. May I remind y'all do this for a living. How many of your peers can say that? Crickets. So how can they lecture you about something that you do and they consuming and buying the product. They don't understand what they're doing. They don't understand about margin. Again, that's their choice to go buy, spend how they choose, but you can really help them. Like, bro, right now, interest rates are this. Before you go buy that house, you might want to reconsider it because this market may be this or that. You can give people good quality information. Help them make this decision, but y'all get the point. So I've been selling. I was selling in a lot of these stocks that I had in my portfolio well into the highs of where they were. Selling, trimming back my positions. Trimming. Because I know, okay, here we go. Here come that winter. Here come that season. And knowing how black swan events happen, you only need one other bad event in succession with something that you're already dealing with that can really exacerbate it and cause even more problems. A la income Russia. But we know it's just not it is not Putin's fault alone. It ain't even, he's not even the beginning of the fault. He just exacerbated it because of, it caused a lot of the stuff to get slowed down. But we know who really caused it before that was what? All the central bankers, the reserve banks, bad corporations, bad politicians, all the people. That's who kickstarted it. So that's what you go back. So who kickstarted it? Who started it? Right? Not so much who finished it, who started it. That's the true culprit. Right? That part, as they say, that part. I mean, we can go on for days. Like stocks, just many of these stocks, the same situation, the same. DocuSign got earnings tonight. Look where DocuSign came from. That was an easy one. Why? Because these companies were born out of necessity because of COVID. Was there a need to do online documentation, signature, authentication now that people back into the workforce and go by their own personal notary, public, this, that, the third? Is there a need for it at a high level where it sits at $300 a share? Anybody go? The stock was sitting at, before COVID, it was sitting at what? $48 a share, $38, 30 some odd dollars a share. It went from there all the way up to 300. Materially, what was the revenue that caused that? Or was it so much for the fact that it was a flight to safety because they do some at a time that had the ubiquitous use case, but it was doing that time. See how things work? Things are cyclical. We've been talking about cyclicality for like forever. Like forever, ever. Right? Forever, we've been talking about this stuff. Now y'all see how these things connect themselves to each other. And that's why we keep talking about them over and over for a reason, for it can set into your psyche. Repetition becomes repertoire. You have to get used to hearing it, seeing it, so you can understand it. And then you can go out there and make a better decision with it. You're not going to say, oh, just because the stock didn't fail this much, this got to be a buy opportunity. Look, people took that approach right here. When it fell off that last big drop, and I crushed it because I showed it DocuSign there too. It dumped just like it did with Netflix and PayPal and Facebook. It dumped all the way from up here, all the way down here to like $1.50. Hit VWAP, traded at around it a little bit, and did what? Did the same product pattern that we know to be what? It rolled over again. We say what? Trust your indicators, right? Look at that thing, played around that indicator, snaked it out of there again. Going to an earnings report and you can't perch upon a massive moving average that shows strength, you're in trouble because that denotes what? Weakness. Clear resistance right there all day, every day at $1.17. You can't clear that 20-day moving average, bro. And you got an earnings coming up, bro. And it's inflationary issues right now, bro. And people going back into what? The workforce themselves properly through what? The reopening trade, bro. You're a stock that was born out of necessity, bro. How many breadcrumbs do I need to lay before people to realize that? I mean, I can go on and on and on. Look, on and on and on. $1.17 now sitting at 78. Earnings tonight. Stock went lower today. Stock went lower today on this earnings. There it is right there. Out the hours. Pull back from yesterday from 98. Now it's sitting at what? 78. God, dog, boy. Wall Street brutal with it. A whole $20. Is it making sense, guys? Is it making sense to you guys? Is it resonating with you guys a little bit here? Are y'all with me here? Sometimes I got to stop and ask that because I don't want to like I'm
definitely here.
Is it making sense to you guys on the YouTube side of things, and Facebook and Twitter? Again, this is why this stuff matters. If we're gonna be about it, we're gonna be about it. We're not gonna just talk about it. We're gonna be about it, right? But at least from where I sit, in my opinion. But one thing for sure, I'm gonna go out my way to try to produce the best data that I possibly can mentally, and I could pull it physically too. But I mean, it'd be the same thing. A lot of stuff I went through it, seen it, and so I'm speaking on it in essence. But this is it. This is how you connect those dots. And so it won't be such a surprise to you as an investor and also as a consumer going forward now, because now you know how to what properly even spend your money during certain cycles, during certain interest rate environments, certain economic downturn when companies are desperate, when they raising prices and lowering prices. You follow that stuff. I lie very intricate now. You know when Tesla going lower their price or their cost. You might have been sitting there waiting for Elon to do that. You follow the stock. Guess what? Oh, he lowering their price on the car. You didn't. The dealership probably look. All right, y'all know where I'm going with that. See, that's what being an investor provides you: insight, actionable intel, as a consumer and also as an investor. As we say, hint, hint, wink, wink. That kind of reality. Markets are desperate right now. Markets are very desperate right now. Wall Street trying to hold on to every little crumb that it has stolen due to the free money printing of the Feds. We were already getting close to a death cross in the S&P. With the 50 cross below the 200, they fought very hard today to keep that from happening. Guarantee you that it ain't over yet. A lot of people thought it was just like, this is crazy. How the market's going up today with 7.9 CPI, GDP contracting. Again, amid a reason, Russia and the market figured out a way to pump yesterday and then pump today. Well, we know it pumped yesterday because yesterday was the last day of the quantitative easing by the Jerome Powell, money printing machine. That printer is definitely offline right now. Market sent them off properly. See, they scratch my back, I scratch yours. You made us very wealthy, Jerome Powell. We're gonna buy the market up in your honor. And they did. On what really good news? Oh, well, our excuse is that we might get a peace, a ceasefire peace talk with, Ukraine and Russia tomorrow. So we're gonna front run that. We may get lower than average, CPI that it might just be transitory, like Jerome Powell said. We're gonna front run that. Mind you, these supposed to be very intelligent people who got, again, statisticians and MIT people, graduates are working in their offices, think tanking, and they can't come up with what? Because they're not trying to. They know big bank take little bank. And if they get retail market chasing the market, that's all they need. So they can offload a lot of their bags right onto retail, because they're just waiting for a place of prominence to say that the market is back to a place when they were just giving. Now that we're in the stock pickers market, a lot of these traders going to fail miserably. Why? Because they were too busy buying into the Kool-Aid drinking that stocks only go up. Buy the dip, bro. That was the only thesis or narrative. They can't give you no other reason why a company going to do this, do that. Fundamentals didn't matter. Heck, barely even technicals mattered to most of them. So again, it goes back to that saying, 99% traders lose money, 90% lose money, 10% only going be profitable. Well, we're gonna be in that 10% one way or the other. Right? That's the whole goal. So that's it, guys. So I'm gonna get out. We got training coming up, guys. So I want to parlay right into it. So since we already got most people online or focused, if they're able to, I'm just gonna start up the Zoom and we're gonna get right into it. So basically, I'm just gonna continue the conversation that we're having right now. Why not? I think it's very vital, because sometimes current events make for great training sessions. People need current briefings or current information or current value to look at things in a way where it'll be beneficial to their now real time outlook, projections, perspectives, etc., etc. So I'll let that even be the topic, since we already on it. Again, market resiliency, right? market fear, so to speak, right? This is what's going to help us become solid, right? This is what's going to help us become solid, guys. Look, no harm, no foul. It's going to take this. It's going to take this. All right. So again, I'm gonna get ready to log off, guys. I just want to kind of have that conversation with you guys. I appreciate everybody that came through. Again, your patronage means everything to this channel. Everything to this channel. Why? Because we're trying to do the extraordinary, right? With limited, sometimes circumstance, limited time, limited resources, whatever. So I appreciate it, guys. I truly do. I appreciate it. Anytime the family can come through, right? Anytime. All right. I value it. I value guys' time.
You ready for one more question, Opal, before you start?
But yeah, shoot it real quick, because we got a training set. I want to actually start at 6 today, because I want to get off, because a lot of times I'll be up late. Well, I usually have a lot of late sessions, but I want to try to get in and get off now so I can game plan.
Oh yeah,
and all
it's 6
that.
o'clock where you guys are at. You might as well start.
Okay. Well, you probably be right in the room, so obviously unless you got something to do. So you'll still be able to fire it off in there. All right. So yeah, just let me get the Zoom stuff set up and get everybody, because again, I'm gonna try to get this stuff done at a good hour so people can get on with their afternoon, their evenings, and not be stuck. I'm not gonna say to be stuck, but trying to be respected to people's time. All right, guys. So that's it. So I appreciate everybody again on the backside. Our brother Luther came through today. What's going on, fan of Luther in the house? Right, the fam. Right, the fam came through today. Good to see you in the building, bro. Fan of Be Humble came through today as well. Again, subscribe to the channel, guys, if you're new. Of course, we got a Facebook private messenger group. If you want to be a part of it, hit me up. Y'all know how to connect with me. Of course, I got a Facebook business page, African Emporium. All my stuff is tied to my business handle. You can find me on Twitter, same way, African Emporium. You can find me in the Discord room, African Emporium. You can find me on Instagram, African Emporium. So it's not hard to find me. Connect with me. Even my email, right? My email is my business, African Emporium, right? Gmail. Not rocket science. Hit me up, right? Let's get connected if you want to be, again, we with you, basically is my point. We with you, right? So we appreciate everybody. Again, the family Be Humble, our family, the Snot Ball in the building. Brother Ramsey came through today. Shout out to Oba Ramsey in the building. Brother Ghost came through as well. Our brother Oba Al came through today as well. Our brother Ross Shoe came through. Been a little minute. Good to see you, family. Who else we got in the building? Our family Hypnosis, Dover Fiend in the building, came through. Who else we got? We got family Miami Car Raps in the building. Shout out to you, family. Came through today as well. Right. Who else got? Of course, the panel over Brandon, over Chris, over Son in the building. Brother Mathis came through. Shout out to you as well. Anybody that might have been listening that couldn't type, we appreciate you guys as well. Your voice in what they call kinetic energy, it resonated. I hear you. I see you. Shout out to you for being, again, an eye and an ear to this broadcast as well. We appreciate everybody who support this community university. All right? So we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys here shortly. We're getting ready to do our little Thursday training session, of course, for our mentorship program. Of course, if you guys want to be a part of that, y'all know my information is down in my description box. Again, it's $30 a month, $1 a day for the information that I'm putting out. If you feel like it's worth it, click the link. You already know if it's worth it, because the information I put out, click the link. Right? It's a way of just, feeding into the system that we're trying to put out here, of getting people, properly positioned to be able to deal with these marketplaces in ways that most people probably won't and don't probably care to think about. We're going to go into that depth and give people that kind of information to work with. Right. So shout out to everybody who want to be a part of that. Y'all know how to connect with me. My information is down there, and we can, take this thing again to that next level. Right? I see Brother Rich came in on the back end here. I'm getting ready to close down. What's going on, over Rich? Brother Rich boy in the building. You there?
Yeah, this
Brother Rich.
man. Where can I follow you at?
What's going on? I thought that was you. I said, Brother Rich boy. Yeah. All my stuff is it's the same, man. It's African Emporium. Just pull me up, AFURAKN. You can pull me up on Facebook the same way, Twitter the same way. You can pull me up on Instagram the same. I'm still in the Discord rooms, right? Because you could just if you are in Discord still, you could just hit me up on Discord, like the friend person through Discord.
Hey, well, friend, I just got back in trading about 2 weeks ago, but I got out because I started a trucking company, and I'm just getting back in. I lost all the knowledge, so I'm like, man, let me find African Emporium, man.
Right, you already know how we
And I get on YouTube and you on live. I'm like, dang, I need to
You know
connect
we
with
always been here.
man, I need to get back into this, boy. I said, boy, he dropping them gems still.
You already know I got you, man. You know
So
we come from that old cloth. So
yeah,
you already know what it is.
Where you finna go right now? You finna go to Zoom or something?
Yeah, every Thursday I have a training session because I started doing these kind of sessions actually, intricate for people who had interest in it. So I started got with a little brand, or you want to call that a brand of business. Some of the same guys that we used to hang out with back in the old days with, Brad, this guy back then was, Ricky Gutierrez. Then of course I didn't get with his little brand. I was kind of like staying in our little group because we were doing our little thing with Sal for the longest. But I got with a guy named Brad and Jacob. They was a part of the old Ricky crew. And they started a little business. So I was like, you know what? That's my way of giving back. It's worth it. So, I started a mentorship program through them where it's basically $29 a month. So it breaks down to $1 a day to give out the information. And y'all know as I know, this information well more than worth it. And it's my way of saying people, if they serious, if they interested, they'll pay it because they give everybody else that money and don't think twice and they ain't get no real ROI on it. Right. So here's my way of giving back, and saying, hey, if it's worth my time, it'll be worth your time if you put in, the interest in it by doing just that. So, but that's what we do on Thursdays. Of course, I have individual sessions throughout the week as well, but we have a big group setting every Thursday at around about 6, 7, sometime a little earlier. And then we just go over the same stuff that we're going over right now, get people filled back in, probably get people, on the right path of looking at the market in ways that they probably never did. So we can utilize it to get paid. Again, you come from that old cloth, so you already know.
I was looking at it. I just got back in. I ain't messed with this thing since back in them days, and I've been just working on my trucking company. I said, man, I done made a little money. Now I need to learn this stock market again. And man, I just be looking at. I'm like, man, what? There's so much manipulation going on. Me not being in it, it just look crazy.
Right. Exactly.
Wow. So yeah, I'm gonna have to hit you on Facebook to get all the information. I don't mind dropping a few dollars to learn. I need to get reacclimated, so I know you the guy I need to hit up. Get me back.
You already know I got you, bro.
I'm gonna hit you up on Facebook. Whatever you say the Zoom. Are you gonna do Zoom right now?
Yeah, I got a Zoom. I do a Zoom session, train like I say every Thursday. We do a group session Zoom setting, and
so
I still have it broadcast on Facebook. Facebook. I have it broadcast through YouTube for archive, but it's basically for people that that are part of the mentorship. But people can follow along through YouTube. But again, being in the group, in the broadcast itself, of course.
It's more hands on. How can I hit? Well, I'm just gonna get all the information I need. I throw a few dollars so I can learn. Ain't nothing like learning for the best. I'm gonna hit you up. I'm gonna send you a DM on Facebook tonight.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, hit me up there, and like I said, and you could just, if you ever have any information to track me, I always put information down in my description box on YouTube. Like if you go down my description box now, you'll see all my stuff. Of course, I got the little, brokerage little links as well. But I also have my YouTube, my We Trade HQ mentorship. You'll see it down there where it says, "Come join me and start your success in trading big boy stocks and options." You just click on that; it'll take you to We Trade HQ. You'll see my profile, all that stuff like that. But
I'm gonna do that.
You got connection to me.
Okay, I got you. Appreciate it, bro. Family. Boy, you still doing that thing, boy.
Man, I'm trying. I told y'all already know what to say back in the old Discord day. I say, bro, y'all know everybody gonna be around. Definitely gonna be me. I ain't going nowhere. They didn't let me in the door.
Yeah, I ain't going nowhere. You making sense of all this stuff. I'm like, how it gonna go up 1 minute, everything good, and then all of a sudden, it's like they just making up stuff just to make the market go.
You know that's what it is. That's what it is. It's an agenda.
Something going on. I don't know what it is. Something going on. I can't put it together myself.
But that's what we exist for. That's exactly what we exist for, bro. Because we're supposed to have each other back and share this information properly with no vested interest in mind.
I'm gonna sign up tonight. I'm gonna hit you up in and get me on point. So I can't be throwing my money in, and they always trying to take it. So I'm gonna hit you a DM tonight, and I'm gonna give you my number and get me right, man. Get me right.
I got you. You already know it.
I'm gonna talk to you tonight. I got something to tell you too. So you gonna be like, hey, boy, you did it like that. I got you. I'm gonna hit you tonight.
You already know I love it. You know where
Yeah,
we
bro.
come from.
I'm in till tonight, bro. I promise you.
I got you. You already know it.
Ten
So
folks.
it's good seeing you, talking to you too. So yeah, we'll connect and we'll link and we'll get get on get where we need to go.
All right, thank you, bro.
Anytime, family. Anytime.
All
All
right.
right, guys. So that's it, guys. I'm gonna get off, like I said, before I can get this training going, guys. And we appreciate everybody again. Again, that's some family loot that came from, again, a brother Rich Boy for you guys, affection on him on the YouTube side here. But of course, the brother been around since some day. We was getting in heavy on the Discord day. A lot of these people y'all probably see on YouTube now, they were just, kind of fledglings at this stuff. Or some of them were already founded, like your Tim Sykes and again, Ricky Gutierrez, and how they went on to do big things, and Steven Ducks, of course, we came out of Sal, Discord room at that time, and a lot of guys in around those environments. Money Green, I can be here for days, calling all those phenomenal people, how they just went on to do great things in themselves. But a lot of us came in and sat, and listened and learned, and just we were doing our own little things, and we just got sharper by following people who were really, demonstrators, more so just conversating. And man, again, just show you in that little bit of time how markets have changed just in that little period, right? As they say, you go back and break the market down in 10-year chunks. Right, the last 5 years, it was just what was happening. Right, look where we went from that point. The last 10 years, look what it was doing at that point. So it's interesting when you back test, as they say, back test the market, right, or back test the information. It's wonderful, man, because you're getting all this knowledge now, and you know exactly how to operate in or around it once you know what's going on. All right. So that's it, guys. So again, get out of here, get this training going, and we'll see you guys on the next one, guys. We appreciate everybody. Again, like, share, subscribe. My information down in the description box. Of course, if you want to, be a part of our mentorship, it's just $1 a day, right? It breaks down to $1 a day. I got to say that with my chest because a lot of people don't see it for what it is. They enjoy it, but again, it's worth it. If you ask me, it's worth it. I'll leave it at that. $1 a day. All right. So we'll see you guys on the next one, guys. Peace, everybody. Peace, everybody. Peace.
Calm down before you stress up the groove. The energy a little different when the blessings accrue. Hey, who you talking to? Just know I ain't no regular fool. Could be anything in the world, but I can never be you. Because I stand tall like I'm on my tiptoes. Baby, you think a little too small. I got big goals, baby. Hey, where the money at? Look, I just need the info. Pronto, I go and get it and split it with my kinfolk daily. And I'm the type of that might change my number on you. Yeah, that's how you react when people took a slumber on you. Pretty brown skin, baby, I can see the summer on you. You see all the bread, and I know it make you wonder, don't you? I ain't surprised at all. Seen them rise and fall. Went up the mountain, it wasn't hard to climb at all. At the top, I found some relief. I finally got some peace. Carry on, but please don't mess up the mood. Yeah, I worked too hard for it. No, I need to beat it before you mess up the mood. Yeah, ooh, I worked too hard for it, and I need it, so please don't mess up the mood. Don't mess up the mood. Don't mess up the mood. Yeah, I worked too hard for it. Yeah, don't mess up the mood. Oh, it's so crucial, I gotta keep it. It's in the air, it's everywhere. No, it's not a secret, and I bet they didn't think that I'd ever get it. Everything you've done, I get it. The life you're dreaming, I live it, and I'm coming in high. You better get out the kitchen. Yeah, I could make a hit on whatever you pitching. Baby, let me fill up whatever you missing. Or you like it up at the top, it's a better view, isn't it? I'm not surprised at all, no it. Hey, what you need? Come on, just pay the fee. I supply it all. Went up the mountain and it wasn't hard to climb at all. At the top, I found some relief, you see. So please don't mess up the mood. Yeah, I worked too hard for it. No, I need to beat it before you mess up the mood. Alright, ooh, I worked too hard for it. So please don't mess up the mood. Don't mess up the mood. Don't mess up the mood. Yeah, oh come on. I worked too hard for it. Yeah, don't mess up the mood.
All right, guys. See you guys on the next. See you in training here in a second. Peace, everybody.